Hello.
And
I love it.
you know what we just did? We had a polite off really quickly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We did, the Mexican standoff?
Yeah.
In 2022, I just got nervous saying that.
You can't say Mexican.
We got into a spicy standoff, and
Yes.
but it was a politeness standoff,
Right.
Yes.
where we all looked at each other like, "Oh, you go ahead and start it."
Oh, you, sir.
You start
After you.
yeah. And then Brad and I made direct eye contact, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And finally, we both were like, "Fine, all right, we'll do it." But
It was the podcasting equivalent of like holding the door for someone and everyone refusing to go.
Yeah.
You know, no.
Yeah, and we got there. But
did.
so now here's the problem, though. We haven't solved who's actually
Right.
going to say it. Why don't we
Right.
do it all together?
How about this? Everyone close their eyes, and I'll count to 3, and then one of us will do it.
Chuck, I refuse to do any more games that you say start with close your eyes.
My eyes are shut.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me 37 times, shame on you. You always say, I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to
And by the way, Clerks was written about that experience. I just like that you pulled 37 for that because it was a blowjob joke,
Yeah.
and you mentioned 37 right in a row.
Well, I think 7 is the go-to random number.
Yeah, I love
like
7.
1 through
Oh, my
10.
God.
People always go 7.
7, yeah.
And I think 3 is a pretty good one.
It's a funny
when
one.
you want to go up in numbers. So 37 is probably one you're going to pick. This is.
Let's just go through from 1 to 100.
Okay.
Just the
And
funniest number.
Let's rate the
Let's
numbers
rate
in terms
funniness.
of how funny they are.
Yes.
And you have to give it on a scale of 1 to 100.
Oh, no.
Because then we can put them
It's
in
gonna
order
get
at
so
the end.
complicated.
So
We're going to
1.
lose track.
76.
76.
Oh no! Wait. Wait. You know what we should do? We should do the numbers 1 through 100 in order of funniness.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
All right, well, 37.
37.
Wait, I'm sorry. Are we going most funny to least funny?
Yes,
Most funny, least funny,
least funny.
All right,
37.
37.
Yeah. 7.
We got to go. I think 11 is up there. 11's funny.
11, 9.
I think we're
and 11
overlooking.
together.
I think we're overlooking a very obvious funny number.
Yeah. I mean, you got to put it at the top of the list, right? We got to. Okay, so we need to amend. 69
Nice.
goes first as top funniest number.
Nice.
Top funniest and nicest number.
Yes.
In fact, people have to tell you how nice it is.
Yes.
Right.
Hey, y'all.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Welcome to another episode of Funbearable.
Oh, I thought you got so bored with this conversation you were starting one of your videos for your YouTube channel where you review boots, cowboy boots.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
I'm
Brad
Brad.
Rohr here.
You want to scoot your boots on down to the...
Scoot your boots. Now, if you had a YouTube channel about reviewing cowboy boots, Scoot Your Boots is going to be...
And I
What
really...
a weirdly specific YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. It's all about you got to find your niche. You know what I mean?
That's what it is.
And there are many YouTube. You ever like watch one thing because you're
Yes.
you're thinking about purchasing an item?
Yes.
And you look up reviews for the item.
Right.
Maybe a pair of shoes, right?
Right.
Or boots or something
Yes.
like that. You're like, oh, is this good? You know. And then all of a sudden, the algorithm's like, you're probably interested in all of these things.
Right.
Recently, I watched a review. Oh my god, I don't even remember what the thing was, but I was like, I think I'm gonna get that. And I looked up like a couple of reviews. Oh, it was like a pack for carrying electronic gear, like a little one.
Right.
And it was a sling. Mm-hmm. And then my YouTube recommended video algorithm is just populated with like dudes reviewing EDC.
I don't know.
EDC?
Electronic Dance Compilations.
No. Brad, what do you think
That was
EDC
pretty-
stands for?
Oh, boy. Elephant.
Yes. Dance compilations.
Dynamic. Gastroenteritis.
that would be a G.
Oh, okay.
EDG.
Right. Oh, sorry. ED.
And that's erectile dysfunction gastronomy. It's just chefs that can't get it up making delicious
Yep.
food. You like it? Yeah. Does it make you happy? I wish it did.
Not as happy as I'd hoped.
Yeah. No, EDC stands for everyday carry.
Oh.
Because where we are as a society.
Oh, I
let's-
see.
Let's do a quick check. Let's all put our wet finger in the air to see what the wind is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I wet my finger the wrong way. I used the wrong thing. Fingers wet. So's the couch.
No. So yeah, we're at this point in society where I think there are enough men that are like, I want to be a woodsman.
Yeah,
I want to be survivor guy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think, and there's not enough to do. And so they do this thing, and they have everyday carry, and it's like, what knife are you rocking? Look at all these cool pocket knives. Look at all these cool pocket knives, and here's this little thing. It's a lighter,
Right.
but this thing has fire starters in it.
Yes.
And it's like all this weird stuff, and it's like, okay, I mean, that's all neat. That's all neat
Right.
stuff. But they go so deep into this like EDC culture.
Yes.
It's so strange where I'm just like, you're going to the store.
Yeah.
You live in the suburbs. Like,
What do you do every day?
yeah, it's like, dude, I see you.
Yes.
I see you on camera right now. There's no risk for you. You don't need a 1,000 lumen keychain flashlight. What are you doing? Yeah.
That's that's Brad flashing in his own eyes by
Like,
accident.
well, you never know what'll happen at Best Buy. Right? You'll never know what happens. I work loss prevention at Best Buy, and you don't know. So I have my sling, my EDC everyday carry sling. I've got 3 pocket knives.
I also have a
Leatherman.
sling like David from David and Goliath, and I keep 5
Oh,
smooth
yeah.
pebbles. And in case a giant comes in and wants to run out with the TV,
You know what's funny? Some dude had a little, he's like, look at this little fidget toy thing, and it was like this mini slingshot that had a couple of BBs in the handle.
Cool.
And it's part of his everyday carry.
I would slingshot.
The thing was like $90.
Oh.
And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, it's titanium. I'm like, why? Why is it titanium? Why does it need to be titanium? Who is holding a mini slingshot going, this thing's not tough enough?
That's funny. I don't want to overlook this. We have a few Funbearable phrases we've come up with.
Yes.
Brad does the waffle. That's when he dances out of the room because he wants to avoid confrontation.
I don't want to take
Yeah.
a side on any subject at all.
We have I Pity the Ghoul. What are those pictures you're looking at on my phone?
It's Twitter.
Okay.
I'm just you have too many
there's
notifications.
There's
Too many
that.
notifications.
There's a Diarrhea Castle.
Yep.
Obviously, that's when things go bad. I think Scoot Your Boots is Find Your Passion. I think Scoot Your Boots is Find Your Passion. Brad's YouTube channel, he found
Yeah.
his passion, which is reviewing cowboy boots.
Yes.
And now it's become a metaphor for all of us finding our passions.
You know what's tough though?
You gotta scoot your
the
boots.
past tense doesn't sound right to me.
I scooched my boots.
Well, no, scooching is moving them over slightly.
Right.
I scooted
your
scooted
boots.
my boots.
Yeah, scooted isn't fun to say, but like
Scooch.
saying,
It's how
like,
you scooch.
Brad, you gotta scoot your boots, man.
Scooch. I think scooch. We need scooch.
Ooh, do we? though?
Well, no, because he died.
Is it scouch?
Scooch died back when we were hazing him because he was rushing our frat. And
No,
Scooch died.
I really.
Oh God, I found Scooch.
First of all, I just want to say I don't think this is funny. Scooch was my favorite character on Saved by the Bell.
Oh, you went with that? I had a much more fun image in my head of some kid named Scooch. And he died in a hazing situation in a frat. We put him in the trunk of the car.
I like the idea of just remembering names wrong, so
Yeah.
that's fun.
There was Scooch. Oh man, best cast members of Saved by the Bell: Scooch, Vice Principal Balding, Jack.
Yeah, Jack is good.
Jack Norris. He was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yes.
Jack Norris was the king of the
Yes.
school.
DJ Tanner.
DJ Tanner.
By the way, a young woman was interviewing me yesterday at Comic-Con, at Rhode Island Comic-Con,
Casey later.
and she goes like this. That someone's like, okay, so his name is Chuck Staten. He does this, and she's like, okay. She's like, your name is Chuck Norris, and I'm like, Staten, and she's like, oh right, not Norris, and I'm like, is that just a normal thing now, where it's like if you say Chuck, you think it's Norris?
No. No. This person was weird. No.
She really did. She went Chuck, and she closed her eyes and squinted real hard and went Norris. And I was like, what? I thought
That
it
is very
I
weird.
turned it into a joke. I was like, I know I look just like Chuck Norris, and we were like, ha ha ha. But in my
Yeah.
head, I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, that is a weird
And you know what
thing.
she said? She said, I think I interviewed you or your sidekick at some point. And Brad did not like that.
I did
No,
not.
I wouldn't
do
like
not-
that either.
But
I
hold on. In the world where I'm like a Batman and Brad's like a Robin,
Nope.
I don't want to live in that world.
hold on. You know, he's referred to as a sidekick, but would you actually be like, yeah, I interviewed one of them, Batman or Robin? You
Right.
wouldn't be confused.
Right.
So she equates us as equals.
I think that I've just realized that if there was a world where you, Chuck Staten, were Batman, it wouldn't last. because
The world?
yeah, but also the situation. Because at some point very early on.
Yeah, because I'd get rid of all the crime. Is what
Well,
you're
no,
saying?
because
Oh.
there would be like the first time you did something during the days when the Gotham police are chasing you and they think you're a menace and all these things.
Right.
Or no, that's J. Jonah Jameson about Spider-Man. But anyway,
Right.
if they're like, oh, vigilante justice, that's wrong. But the first time you save the city and do a good thing and people are like, we love Batman.
Yes.
That's when
You
your
take my mask off.
Bruce Wayne, Chuck Staten comes out and he's like, it's me. I did it. I saved everybody. I got the Joker. It was me, Chuck Staten, all along. I got the Joker.
I've got some bad news for you, Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Poison Ivy got Batman. Batman's dead.
Yeah.
No. She didn't use her magical plant pheromones to make him fall in love. Just tight clothes.
Brad Robin,
Yes.
he said to Chuck Batman, explained, like, laid out all of the dangers of Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
Laid everything out on the table.
Right.
Showed him the facts and figures and said, seriously, she's
Right.
going to try and get you to kiss her because
Right.
she's got poison lips.
Right, Yeah. poison.
So don't do it. Whatever
Yes.
you do, Chuck Batman.
Yes.
Don't kiss her on the lips.
Last 40 seconds.
40 seconds.
Where-
he
okay,
walked in and he
okay.
went, give me a kiss.
No, I would say, where can I kiss her?
Oh,
She
man.
doesn't bathe in poison, you idiots. You're Alfred.
I'm not Alfred. Fuck yourself.
Yeah, who are you?
The real Batman waiting.
You fucking would be Batman. You know
No,
what? Yeah, you are.
listen,
You are.
I'm a fan of justice.
I'm Keaton, and when I get sick of it, you're fucking, George Clooney.
George Clooney.
Yeah.
I mean, all right.
Well, in the
Whatever.
Batman world, nowhere else. I'm
That's
George Clooney in Ocean's 11.
All right. At least I'm not Val Kilmer.
Yeah, no, Val Kilmer's the superior to George Clooney.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, Batman Forever is superior to Batman and Robin.
I would say acting wise, Kilmer is a much more interesting actor than George Clooney.
I think Forever is looked at as a much better Batman movie than.
I think
Batman and Robin.
I think that's
I know,
that's
it's
an issue
direction,
of like the
writing,
exhausting of that
the
thing
franchise,
and taking
yeah.
it into an exaggerated place, right?
Yeah.
Batman Forever.
It's pretty. That's Jim Carrey, Tommy Lee Jones.
I'll put it this way: I think the best part of Batman Forever was the soundtrack. That's why it was like so successful. Like everybody I knew back when I was a
Yes,
kid when that
yes.
movie came out,
Yes.
everyone had that soundtrack.
I think Batman. The best thing about Batman Forever is for sure Drew Barrymore's cameo as Two-Face's like good, like side girl. Like remember how he had the house and it was like half and half was good
Yeah.
and half was bad, and he had
Yeah.
a bad girl and a good girl. Drew Barrymore is the good girl.
There's so many
hottest
listen,
Drew Barrymore ever.
We could do an entire episode breaking down like an autopsy. We could do an autopsy of
Yes.
Batman Forever and get down to the nitty gritty of like how wildly bad some of those choices were.
I think I don't. I know what you mean.
Let me put it this way: like Tommy Lee Jones, you brought him up, and immediately I was thinking about this. Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. In my head, if I didn't know the movie existed, I'd be like, "Oh, that's cool. That's an interesting choice. I like that. That
Yeah.
could be fun."
Yeah.
But Tommy Lee Jones, and this is true,
Yes. He hated Jim Carrey
when they were doing when they
Yeah.
were doing this, and Tommy Lee Jones said, "No, I don't want to be like the quiet, angry one. I want to be goofy too." Either
Yes.
that or he knew the movie was bad.
Well,
and he went the choice of like, you have the Riddler who's doing a almost Joker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey. He's doing like Batman the TV show,
Right.
Joker.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you have Tommy Lee Jones, who's just like, oh, I'll also be crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I'll also be this other thing. So there's no switch between the two.
the Batman movies are a real conundrum in my head because Batman, the first one, 1989,
Yeah.
with Keaton and Tim Burton, it was very well received.
Absolutely, yeah.
People really
That was
really
great.
enjoyed it. Kim Basinger, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone really liked it. Jack Nicholson. And
Jack Nicholson liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, he
yes.
did.
Yeah.
But it was very well received. And so they did a second one. Not only was it like similar style of Tim Burton, but it went deeper into the Burton universe, kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
more like that, more stylized.
Yeah.
And to me, Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito, what's his name? Christopher Walken. Like, I think that Batman Returns is superior to Batman 1989. and it was also really, really well received. But then they go into the direction of Batman Forever. You lose Tim Burton, you lose Michael Keaton, you get Val Kilmer, and they get Jim Carrey to be a villain and Tommy Lee Jones, and it's more cartoon.
You mean
Clooney? No, Val Kilmer's first.
Was Kilmer first?
Yeah. Kilmer was first.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even remember the order.
They make this is my point. They make it a little bit more cartoonish.
Yeah.
Then they make Batman and Robin with Clooney and everybody, and it's even further towards like cartoonish.
Yeah.
But why? But why did they start taking a left turn and going in that direction?
It was the director, Schumacher.
Schumacher,
Joel Schumacher turned it into a camp fest, and like
was it throwback to '66?
He was looking like he kept saying that.
Yes,
but it really felt like let's just do a Broadway stage production of Batman. That's what those felt like.
They skated in that movie. They ice skate. Batman ice skates in that movie.
Yeah.
So which Robin am I? Am I Burt Ward? Am I Chris
think
O'Donnell?
I have bad news for you.
Oh boy.
Yes,
you're
an actual
Jason
Robin.
Todd.
Oh boy.
And he died.
Yeah.
But you come
Sort
back
of.
angry.
Oh,
As the Red Hood, you come
then
back.
in that
and you're
case,
very angry.
I am on board.
Yeah. I will say this. We were talking about E.T. recently.
Yes.
On the podcast.
Yes.
And how gross he is.
Yeah.
I do have to give a tip of the gross hat.
Nice.
To Danny DeVito in Batman Returns.
He's the best.
The most disgusting human person.
Yeah.
Purportedly human being.
He bites.
right?
He bites the nose of the guy. He eats the dead fish. He wants to go
it's
down on the Catwoman.
Fucking black ooze that comes out of his mouth. He like spits out black bile.
Yeah.
And it's like such a crazy choice. And I remember
Okay.
those toys were hold on, those toys were available at McDonald's in the Happy Meals.
You just made me remember something that I forgot that I knew, and I'm going to tell you in a second.
Yeah, but this goes to like that idea of we grew up in a period of time where like fucked up stuff was for kids.
For sure.
Yeah. And it's so funny.
Gremlins.
Like E.T., being disgusting, that was earlier. And then like 10 years later, whatever it is, we get Danny DeVito fucking drooling black bile going, like that, doing that shit in a movie
I love it.
that was marketed to children. It's like you go get your Happy Meal and you're like, I want the Danny DeVito that spits out the black blood.
Okay, so here's the real thing that happened.
Yeah.
And I believe this is true. Brad can tell me whether or not it sounds like fiction.
Whenever I hear Chuck say, I believe this is true, we're getting into some territory.
That the Warner Brothers franchise, the Warner Brothers production company, had a deal with McDonald's to bring Batman Returns toys to Happy Meals. And that started very early on in the production of the movie.
Oh, yes.
And I believe by the end of the movie, when they actually started producing the toys and making the movie, they saw how dark the movie was because Max Schreck kills Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman character, or he tries to. Danny DeVito does die at the end, and he drools the black thing.
Yeah.
All the stuff. The guy bites his nose, all the disgusting things.
Yeah.
When they saw how violent it was, I believe there was some kind of backlash. I don't know if it was like parents towards McDonald's for being associated, or if it was McDonald's towards Warner Brothers for making it more disgusting than they expected.
Yeah.
And I think I read somewhere that was part of the reason that they started softening it going towards Batman Forever.
Yeah, going even more campy and weird. And like, here's my back credit card and all that shit.
You know what scared me? So I was a kid, very squeamish, very nervous, frightened of everything, scared of the Gremlins, scared of the E.T. Wasn't so disturbed by Batman Returns, a little scary.
Yeah.
Very disturbed by the end of Batman Forever, where Jim Carrey gets his head like melted. Do you remember that part?
Right, yes, yeah.
That scared the shit out of me.
Sure.
When I was a kid, that scared me way more. But I have an appreciation in my heart for Batman Forever. I like Val Kilmer. Yeah. He has kind of a lisp in that movie. So he turns to Nicole Kidman at some point and he goes, "Tell me, doctor, do you like the circus?" And I swear to God, if you watch it after hearing me say that, you will never not hear his insane lisp in that part.
Yeah, I'll keep my ears open.
Yeah, but please, your bad ears.
Yeah.
But we're not here today.
Fixed, and I'm very sensitive about that.
We're not here today to talk about Batman.
Good going. I was about to do this too.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about Batman.
Pivot.
We're here to talk about the mailman, Brad Rohr.
That's correct. always deliver.
That's because I always deliver the old prickaroo, baby.
Tell me, Mr. Mailman, what's in your sack?
Man, Brad, if you ever have a porn character, it has to be the mailman. And it has to be like sack, always deliver, rain or snow, sleep.
I can.
And when you jizz, then you scan it and you hear deep, and then he walks away.
I will earnestly say, whenever I have a porn character based on me, I promise both of you.
You haven't heard? It's in the works.
I will refer. Yeah,
They're doing a Funbearable porn.
We're gonna sell toys at McDonald's.
Yeah.
We have many listeners, many fun bears who have written in to Funbearable, funbearablepod@gmail.com.
And because we haven't, we've talked about this many times.
Yes.
About how we've recorded quite a bit in advance.
Yes.
And, I think that's good I think that's 85% great and a good choice.
Yes.
The other 15% is being timely and being on time with what's happening in the world and talking about those things, but also reacting to the people that comment, the people that chime in. I do wish we could have done more of that moving on. Right. Like I think today when we're recording, just a little peek behind the curtain, we should just keep the curtain open.
Yeah.
We are always peeking behind it. Just open it all the way.
Why are we ever closing the curtain?
Like our episode that just came out, is going to be coming out, I think, in a couple of days or something. Whatever it is, I was just reviewing. I was just reviewing an episode, and we talk about it in that episode that it's the first one that we're recording when the podcast is out.
Right? Yes.
And that's just coming out in a couple of weeks. So we do have a lot of stuff that we've really appreciated from people.
Yes.
And I'm really glad that we can take a moment and kind of cheat this and have an extra.
Yes.
That's going to be extra long, I think.
Yeah, it'll be long.
And answer some emails and go over stuff like that, because I really do appreciate getting those from everybody. Like, it's been really, really wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, because we all kind of switched from doing audio only podcasts to video podcasts. And we want to make them really good. We want to do fun stuff. Obviously, for the Halloween franchise flashback, we went to Connecticut and we did it in that video store. Best video. Awesome. For the Halloween episode, we went to the porch down the street, my cousin's porch, and we did it there, like giving out candy. We recorded at Gotham Studios to have a bunch of New York comics on, at the Tuesday Studios, at the Tell 'em Steve Dave Studios, because we want to make the podcast really produced and high quality.
Right.
We kind of have to do things ahead of time to make sure we always hit our release schedule.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things, is just the timeliness of being able to jump on listener emails is tough, because we might record something that comes out in 6 weeks. So we really appreciate everyone writing in. Funbearablepod.com@gmail.com. Sorry, funbearablepod@gmail.com.
There you go.
Sorry. We've gotten a ton of emails. We've been saving them up. We've been highlighting them. I actually went through, I don't know if I told you guys this, 2 weeks ago, I went through with all of them, and I wrote to every person individually and told them
I saw
this.
that,
And I was like, hey, just want to let you know, we're just recording ahead. We're going to get to all these really soon. So I'm glad we're finally sitting down. I think the podcast launched on August 25th. We're recording this on like November 5th or 6th, maybe. Is that right? I think we're recording.
Today is November 7th.
Wow, 7th.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go
2
through.
days until God of War.
Woo!
Wow.
So now we're going to read through all the emails, answer everybody's questions. We love that people have been supportive. We have a ton of reviews. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Go to Apple Podcasts, review us, and
we
rate
also
and subscribe. I love that.
We also get I'll jump on the emails like probably once a week.
Yes.
You do like the same thing. I see you responding to people. I respond to people.
Yes.
We kind of go back and forth.
Right.
Brad has famously said, it
Yes.
was in the papers.
Famous.
Famous said, fuck it, I'm not going to do the emails.
Look, the mailman.
Yeah. It's not, you said it's not the email man.
Wait, mailmen hate emails.
But we also have gotten a lot of like nice messages online as well.
I just get a text from Jason Marsden, the voice of Max from a Goofy
Goof.
movie, and Binks from Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
So I got to answer that. Sorry, guys. I have some new friends.
Do you have to do it like right away? Because then he's going to know you're thirsty.
He knows.
Hold on.
Oh, he knows.
He knows.
Yeah.
Chuck
Let me.
is thirsty.
Oh, my red receipts are on.
Chuck,
It's like,
Jason.
Chuck is like the thirstiest for fame.
oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
Yeah.
let's give a little context. We just did Rhode Island Comic Con. I moderated a Disney voice panel, and so I became friends with Jason Marsden,
Yeah.
who does the voice of all these different things and was
Yeah.
on Boy Meets World, Full House, all the TGIF shows.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he was friends with Scooch. That was good.
He's the sidekick of one of the boys that met the world.
Eric.
Yeah, and it's funny because you're angling to be his sidekick, I think, and so that's tough.
What does that make me?
Oh no!
It's two sides. Remove. It's
You're a distant sidekick.
Yeah.
So let's get into these
Yes.
All right.
mails of E.
Here we go.
Yeah, so we're going to go through all the listener mails. Whenever you write in, you have questions, comments, we're going to go through them eventually, we promise, on the podcast, read them out. If there's anything you want to keep, off the podcast, obviously we'll respect that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we'll read everything and we'll answer everything we can.
And you know what? I want to start with this real quick. Let me step
Please.
on your scooted boots.
Yep.
Scoot your boots.
I got some messages from one of our top fun bears. I think the bear of all fun bears.
Okay.
Wow.
And this message was really, really wonderful, and I really appreciated it. But I want to be clear here, and
We should have handed out stickers yesterday at the Rhode Island Comic Con. That would have been nice.
yeah, you really messed it up. But Sabrina,
Yes.
our fun bear Sabrina,
Yeah, she's going to be the number one fun bear.
I think so in Germany.
yes.
No affiliation to any of the negative past or anything like that. I haven't checked. I should check with her.
You should
Yeah.
check. I
And
was
just be
gonna
like,
say,
hey, where were your grandparents?
Yes.
But anyway, no, she pointed this out to me, and she sent it to me because she didn't want to send it to you, Chuck. She was being thoughtful. She confirmed that there was indeed a porn parody of E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Terrible.
Oh, boy.
And she sent me screenshots, and it was horrifying. And here's what makes it even better. It was German.
Oh.
It was German. So she sent me this and sent me a couple of screenshots. I said stop. And so she did. But yeah, it is a porn parody. And I can honestly tell you the screenshots are horrified. Like the look
Wow,
of this creature.
I can't believe there'd be a German porn with something wet, gross, and brown.
Yeah. Only this time, not what you think.
Yeah.
This time it speaks.
Yes.
And so it was unsettling. And when she sent me that, she's like, I watched a little of it. I had to turn it off. And looking at the photos, looking at the stills, all I could think about I wish I had a time machine so I could go back to Germany a couple of times.
Yeah.
One time, just to fix something
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like,
sure,
just to
yeah,
fix
yeah.
a thing, something we should all fix.
Yeah.
But then I would make a quick stop in like the 80s.
Right.
And just say, hey, I don't know if the wall was still up when this was shot.
Right.
But I would love to I just want to talk to the actors, specifically the
Yeah.
actress in the E.T. paper mache, and just be like, so how you feeling?
Yeah.
Is this your rock bottom, or do you think it's deeper? Right? Do you think it's deeper? And she's like, well, I'm about to do another porn where I play the wall. And then Ronald Reagan comes in.
Sadly, she got paid for the ET role in Reese's Pieces.
Oh no! Well,
And you're not gonna,
are you
like-
kidding me? During that time,
The thing is, too, you're not going to because they gave it to her during the shoot, and you're not going to where they put him.
oh no! Yeah, but you got to remember though, at that time in the '80s in Eastern Germany, Reese's Pieces were like
Yeah,
gold.
it's true. it was blue jeans and Reese's Pieces.
Yes, yes.
And a lot of people are just going, check the pockets.
Yes.
Look at these Levi's. These are wonderful Levi's. Yes, but look in the pockets. Do you see how lumpy and sticky they are? Look in the pockets. Oh my God. It
Melted.
is full of all little peanut butter candies.
Just one Reese's Piece.
Oh, it's become
melted.
one big piece of Reese.
Yes.
One big piece of Reese.
Who is
That's
this character
funny.
and how can we have him on more?
Yeah, that's funny. I
Hello,
love
it is
one
me.
big piece of
It's
Reese.
it is from when Germany was completely separated.
Right.
I am an East German man, and I don't know. I'm trying to. We got to have this character on the show more
Yes.
often.
I like it.
You can meet Sheila.
Yes.
Emails. Here we go.
Yes, emails.
September 1st from Nate. Hey guys, it wasn't so long ago that I was reaching out as a new Chuck and Brad podcast listener to tell you how much I enjoy the show and how glad I was I found it. I expressed how great it was to see a show with such longevity that I knew it was stable and would always be there for me. So I guess it really worked out well that I found it because I'm a Ray fan and didn't love it despite him. I'm not really sure if that's a compliment or an insult.
It's a little joke.
Anyway,
I'm
small
uncomfortable
note.
hearing Ray fan.
Small note on episode 2, or is it 3? How are we only 2 weeks in and we have a question as to show numbers? Sorry, just wanted to say I was a little disappointed, maybe in Chuck, who I'd expect this from, that while quickly questioning whether Alf bangs, not one mention of him at least eating pussy. Now, I really hope you get the
Yeah.
reference.
Wow.
Love the show, guys, and wish nothing but the best. Now, between you and me...
Can I just?
One sec.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Now, between you and me, do those boner chews really work?
Wow. Wow.
Thank you, Nate.
Thank you, Nate, and thank you. And you know what, Nate? I'm a Nate fan, and I appreciate you saying that. I always feel uncomfortable talking about that kind of thing, but I really appreciate it. And I want to say, Chuck, you can attest to the chews.
Well, the chews. So I took because Blue Chew is no longer our sponsor.
So
Right
can
now.
we be honest now?
Yeah,
They
we
don't
can
even
finally be
fucking
honest.
work.
Yeah.
They don't even fucking
I
work.
better
No,
get
they
sure
were.
you're blue.
No, they worked, and you
The
basically
wrong way, though. You said
you take them like an
opposite?
hour before sex, and you take them, and like for sure my dick was like way harder, and I even did like because I tried them on some women, but I also tried it by myself.
I don't like
Ugh.
that phrasing.
I
That
tried
phrase is
what do you want me to
disgusting.
say? What did I say?
You didn't try them on some women. You tried them, and then whatever you did after that is your own thing.
Did you also encourage women to
I'm
take
gonna-
them?
okay, let me
because
take-
tried them on
take two,
women
take two.
makes it sound like women had no say in this.
No, take-
also,
I tried them on women.
Hang on. No, I want to be clear here. Listen, you see these socks I'm wearing? You see these socks?
Yes.
If I
Barely.
have sex in these socks, I can't be like, I tried these socks on some women. You know what I mean?
That's not the same. Your socks have nothing to do with sex. My dick
They
hard.
are if you need traction.
No, that's different. That's like saying, I'll put it this way. Let's say you got new shoes, running shoes, and you went on a run for a new track,
Yeah.
a new track. And you said, how are the shoes? And you said, well, I tried it on that track and they were great. Okay? That's fair. So anyway, I tried them on some fine. I'll say this. I enjoyed them alongside some individuals with vaginas. And then
The women part was not the issue, Chuck.
okay, all right. Well, anyway, I
Screaming and
Okay,
writhing
how
on
about
his
this?
little recliner.
describe me. Describe me.
Oh, I would say a baby who fucks. I guess.
Well, hold on. We have to tell people. I have a recliner in my house.
It's oversized. It's Ray sized.
I look like I'm 8 when I sit in it. Do
Yeah.
you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that kind of fun?
Yeah.
You never get to feel small. But anyway.
Same.
And so I sit in the chair and I kick my legs. I play Mario. I do whatever.
Yeah. So
And
look, the fucking chews work. We're spending so much time on fucking blue chews.
There are so many emails.
Yeah. Can we
Hold on,
please
shut the
stop?
fuck- So I tried them while having sex. But then I
Yes.
also tried them while masturbating,
Okay.
or as Brad calls it, romancing myself.
I don't want to be in this conversation.
So, and I could tell that my dick was harder and bigger.
Good.
Great.
The head was like
Okay.
pulsing.
So it works. Great. Anyway.
Hold on, let me finish. Fuck. But then, so I tried it.
That's what.
That's what. Yeah.
That's what he
Go-
screamed.
we know,
Somebody was
we know,
knocking
we
on the
know.
bathroom.
So I was like, this is pretty good, and they work good. I
Yeah.
like them a lot.
Here's a Grand
And
Central
then one
Station.
time, I banged someone, and they were like, "Wow, you used the Blue Chew," and I'm like, "Not this time, baby."
Yeah. Okay.
I just need to get to that.
All right.
That anecdote.
All right, so this next one also
Well, I
September
forgot
1st.
the actual genuine thing I wanted to
It
respond
was about
to.
Alf.
It was the Alf thing.
Alf, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Now it's like the joke isn't even. I tried to do the joke when it was happening. I should have done it then.
I'm not
So you admonished me. I was polite and
There was
backed
one
off.
line left in
Can
the
I
email.
can I
That
can I,
is fair.
can I throw a little bit of my insight on that joke?
Yeah. Is it going to end with you being graphic about your own dick?
So
Again?
here's the thing, and no offense to anybody, the joke is a little bit obvious. So as a comedy having a comedy mind, you kind of want to find almost like an elevated, unexpected way to bring that to the table. but it's tough because it's very, very clear.
Yeah.
Alf eats cats.
You reach for the next
Alf
branch.
Yeah, but I don't know what that would be with Pussycat.
Can I be honest?
Yes.
The reason I didn't make that joke personally is because I'm aware.
Yes.
Because I've heard through the grapevine. Alf
Yeah.
doesn't.
Right.
He refuses.
See, this is the angle.
Yeah,
That's good.
he refuses to do it, and he has said in the past, like I've heard him on podcasts. He
Yes.
does a lot of podcasts, like
Right.
really rude, dirty stuff.
Yeah.
Chuck would love it.
Yeah.
And he's always just like, I just don't do it. I don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing a lot of that. That sounded more like Jerry Seinfeld.
It's a hard impression. It's kind
I
of
don't do it. Nope, I can't do it.
It's funny because when you try to do Alf's voice without seeing a face at all,
Yeah.
it's pretty generic.
Alf has said in the past, I would rather die than reciprocate. That's what he has said in the
wow.
past.
That's
Yeah.
harsh.
Yeah.
You know, that's the Milmachian way. A lot of toxic masculinity.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
Wow, Alf is a real anti-Chuck.
The A stands for asshole.
The L stands for let's get on to the next email.
F
The
stands
F
for
for
fine
fuck
by
you,
me.
Brad.
Whoa. Oh.
All right. Also September 1st from Alex. Hey guys, so I've been a C&B listener for years.
Yeah.
I have a question I've always wanted to ask that I've never heard discussed. Do you guys travel? I know Chuck travels throughout New England for work and Brad travels to visit his family, but if you guys actually left the U.S., I'm from Ireland and travel a ton. It feels like such an important part of living to me. I've been to 21 countries so far. I've heard Americans don't travel very much outside the U.S., and most have never had a passport or left their own country. Is that true? If so, why? Where have you been or where do you plan to go? I'm curious if Ray travels too outside of comedy shows. Thanks, Alex.
Wow, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting question.
I would say in that question, he did ask us to explain why Americans don't travel. That's a deep thing, and I don't think we should be responsible for answering that question. I would say, I think generally
speculate.
speaking, I think anyone, anywhere is less travel, basically what I mean is like you can go to Ireland, right? You can go to Ireland and there are people that are like, oh, I've lived here my whole fucking life. I've lived in this fucking town. I haven't even been to the fucking Northern Ireland. I just stay in the South. That's all I fucking
That's good.
do.
Good job.
Yep.
That Northern is really good.
Yeah.
Did you practice?
No. Well,
Never?
I'm Irish.
Oh yeah, you're Irish.
Yeah.
Harrington. I like to do that.
That's Scottish.
Harrington.
Horrington. How
Now-
dare you?
now I'm in Game
you
of
go,
Thrones.
You go fuck yourself. But no, I think people all over the globe there are people that are just like, nope, I don't want to go anywhere. And I think it's harder for Americans to travel than it is for a lot of people in Europe and that in the surrounding area, right? Like if you live in Ireland, you can go to England in a day and come home in the same day. The same with like Scotland and stuff like that. You can go all over. Then you can get into Europe proper and be in Germany and go to the museum where they have the room that they shot the ET porn in.
Yes.
And you know what's fucked up? It's right next to the Anne Frank Museum.
Yeah.
It's really weird. But you can travel far easier in Europe because it's all connected by trains.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can take an hour flight and be 4 countries away.
Right.
And in the US, you can take that same hour flight and be 2 states over.
Right.
So it's very difficult. I do like to travel.
Yes.
I like travel.
You're an Anglophile?
I am an Anglophile. I miss traveling. Oh my God, I've done a lot of traveling. My wife and I, for our honeymoon, drove cross country here.
Really?
That was our choice. We chose to do that because I was like, you know what? I've never done something like that.
Wow.
And my wife and I, we were into it, and we did that, and it was a blast. We had a 2-week trip.
Wow. Where'd you stop? Did you say like, you know what, let's drive for 6 hours a day and stop? Like,
No, we had a pretty decent like plan, and we took 1 week, maybe 8 days, 9 days to get across the country, and then we spent the rest of the time on the West Coast.
Wow.
And it was a lot of fun. And you know, I've been to England for a month total. I've been to France. I did comedy in Mexico. That was fun. I've been to Canada, you know, so like all over like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My wife and I are already making plans now for my son's 10th birthday. He's 8 now. And we're planning to go to Ireland.
Yep.
when he's 10.
You can visit
And,
Alex.
Yeah, I'm going to stop by Alex's house.
Just stay there.
Well, here's the thing. I'm Northern Irish on my father's side.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And I'm Southern Irish
Uh-oh.
on my mother's side.
That sounds like troubles.
Sounds like
the Troubles.
Middle
Yeah.
Irish.
Oh, you've heard of the Troubles.
Yeah.
You heard of the Troubles?
You've heard of the Troubles.
the Troubles.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was hitting on the head
Okay.
with a brick when he was young. He was it was one of the bombs from the Troubles.
Oi.
I feel
Oi,
like
this one's a broken one.
like
Oi. Yeah, the famous Irish saying "oi."
Oi, that's a thing. Oh, is that
No,
Australian?
you're thinking of like "oi, oi, oi."
Yeah,
and
who
that's
was-
that's Australia. That's England. That's
Oh my God!
that's a
I went on
hooliganish.
I went on
Yeah.
a date with a girl last night. Her Australian accent
Yeah.
was fucking phenomenal.
Crikey.
It was
Yeah.
insane. And I was like,
And she said "nar."
she's like, no, she's like, I can't really, I was doing an English accent. She's like, I can't really do an English accent. She goes, I do a lot of, she goes, I practice my Australian accent a lot. And then she was popping into it. And I was like,
Wait, she wasn't Australian?
no, she wasn't Australian. She was doing an accent.
Like the whole night, or just for a fun moment?
Just because I did an English accent
Oh,
in a
okay.
bit.
All
And
right.
she's like, I can't do that, but I do an
Yeah.
Australian one.
Yeah.
And I was astounded.
She smashed a beer can on her head.
I was astounded.
Yeah.
It was great.
She said some really racially charged stuff about Aboriginal people.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But yeah, no, I love traveling, and I think travel is a vital thing.
I'm jealous of your ability to do accents.
Thank you.
I wish I could do more
Yeah.
accents.
I don't do them on stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's unless
In a
like
bit you would.
Unless a very specific kind of situation happens where the riff is specific.
Right.
What about like
Great.
what about the whole like southern
Riff specific, if
or
you will.
like Midwest kind of thing? You kind of pop into
Oh,
that.
sure. Yeah, that'll pop in
That's
once in
that's
a
a little different, I guess, than international accents.
But no, I love travel, and I wish I could do more.
Yeah.
I think a big hurdle was this COVID.
Yes.
I think that was a real big one.
Never heard of it.
Yes.
Oh, I'll explain off
Thank
air,
you, thank
Brad. I don't want to bring it down. What about you, Bradley?
I went to Germany when I was younger. I filmed something. I don't want to say what it is.
Wait a minute.
I was-
that ET did have cowboy boots on.
Wait a minute. Why does ET need to go to the post office?
And that's why you eat Reese's Pieces like an apple.
No, I went to Germany and Austria with a group from my school when I was in high school.
Those are two very specific countries that I can, in my
Well,
head,
they're
one
connected.
thing comes to mind that links the two.
Yeah, they're border. They're shared border.
Yeah, and they're shared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about.
No, we did like a bus trip of Germany and then down into Austria and then
Yeah.
flew back. I've seen a lot of American states, about half of them.
Sure.
Having lived and worked in Arkansas, and then, but like a big part of it was when I was interviewing for jobs, and it was like, oh, I'm going to go interview at UCLA. I'm going to interview
Right.
at Texas Tech. I'm going to interview, I'm going to visit friends in Arizona. So I've seen a lot of the U.S. and really not a lot. I don't love to travel, and a large part of that is because it's just me, and so like traveling by yourself, flying by yourself, not fun. Just it's not.
I've flown by myself more than I've flown with
Right.
someone.
Me too, and
because of comedy.
Comedy, right?
Yeah.
And so mine was mostly job stuff. And then
Yeah.
when I go visit my family back in Indiana, it's just me flying by myself, playing my little Nintendo Switch, and then I get in and Chuck and I flew down to Texas for a friend's wedding, 8 or 9 years ago. And that was great. Like on the plane, we're playing Mario Brothers and there's somebody with you and,
Yeah.
oh, can you watch my bag while I use the restroom, whatever.
Right.
And it's more fun to travel with someone, and I'm just not at the point where I feel great traveling by myself. I'd love to get to very easy an easier trip, Montreal or Toronto.
Yeah.
Sure.
I have a passport; it's active. I'd love to visit the UK, and I have some friends in and around London that I'd love to hang out with. And I'd love to go back to Germany and hit the tourist stuff in Paris and in Italy and
Can I be honest with you?
yeah.
I did a day in Paris.
Yep. Yeah, that's all I want. One day.
It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. We did we hit some of the sites that you would go to.
Yep.
The Arc de Triomphe.
Yep.
the tower,
Dion.
the Parisian Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, I just want to see where they make
Cigarette,
Perrier.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and we did those things, and I was just like, this, like that area. It's
What was
just
that,
like,
Chuck?
I said Chihuahua, but that's not.
it feels like Washington D.C., where it's just like there's just like a lot of like 5-lane roads here, 5-lane like highway roads right next to this thing. It wasn't until the very end of the day that we got over towards like Notre Dame and things like that.
Right.
I'm doing that as a goof.
I get it.
I am not that guy,
Yep.
right? We went over to Notre Dame and we had fun there. And it wasn't until we got to the river where I was like, oh, this is Paris. Like this is the Paris I understand, like what I have in my head.
Right.
But we had to leave. And to be fair, I did spend a chunk of the day food poisoned. So that wasn't great.
Yeah.
I had diarrhea.
How do they say?
That's worse than my penis head.
No, what?
Just saying.
That's what I said when I looked in the bowl. I was like, "This is worse than Chuck's penis head." And no, I ate a terrible sandwich.
Okay.
And then we went over to. By the time we got over to Notre Dame, we were in there. Before it burned down. Some say my food poisoning had something to do with it. But we were in there and suddenly it was like I am in a cold sweat.
Right.
I am having the worst stomach cramps of my life. I'm dying. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And we go outside and my wife is like, oh, there's a public restroom on the sidewalk where you pay.
Yes.
And you go in this little booth.
Yep.
And I was like, I am not doing this in there.
Yep.
I can't do it. There's something about it is like not this.
Right.
You know what I mean? I ended up at a like a little cafe. I went in. I said bathroom. Right? Like I was just dying, and the waiter was kind enough because he originally said, you know, patrons only.
Right.
And I was like,
Did you say like WC? Like it's water closet.
no, I just went bathroom. I was dying.
Like we know that.
Chuck, emergency, right? This guy knew I needed
Just
the
from the
bathroom.
tone of voice, he knew what it was.
Just by my face,
Yeah.
the paleness.
Yeah.
I was chalk white,
Right.
sweating.
Yes.
And so he told me to go downstairs. So I went downstairs. It was in the basement, and I sat in there, and there was no. It was not a bidet,
Right.
But there was no seat on the toilet.
Okay.
Just porcelain.
Great.
Not a bidet, because I've told this story before and people have been like, that's a bidet. I'm like, no. This was a toilet with
Right.
no seat. And I sat down on that cold porcelain.
It's got to feel refreshing.
Oh, at that point I was just like, please let this happen.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the tiny little stall.
Right.
And doing this and dying.
Yes.
And just like, but feeling the relief, the sweet relief of death.
Right.
And the light in there was a motion sensor light.
Always fun. Yeah.
And it kept shutting off, and I was just in pitch black. Like I would stick my arm up and wave to get the light on.
Right.
But at some point, the food poisoning just was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I just sat in the pitch black. And while I was doing this, I was like, I wonder if anybody like hid down here when they were fighting the Germans during the takeover of Paris, right?
Right.
When Paris was overrun. I wonder if anybody like the rebels were down here.
Ooh, yeah.
Right. And while I'm just doing this, and it was horrifying. But
Yeah.
so that's my experience of Paris.
Yes.
0 out of 100 for me.
Okay.
Yes.
But loved England. So much fun. There are moments like you just hit a moment. I think when you travel, I try to. I think because of stand-up comedy, I've traveled so much for comedy that a lot of times that can feel like just work and a hassle.
Yeah,
Right.
of course,
And-
because you're like, well, I am going to work. I'm going to have to go to this club at this time and be there until this time.
Yeah.
So the other time is more like downtime than travel time.
There have been
Right.
many, many trips where somebody's like, "Oh, you were in whatever.
Yeah.
You were in Houston, Texas. How was that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
It's a hotel room
I had
and a
no
comedy
time.
club.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Hotel
yes.
room, comedy club, and a
Yes.
restaurant and a Starbucks. That's
Yes,
it.
like senior discount. My band. We've played in obviously Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. I'm trying like a ton of states, Vermont. But like in the band, we didn't really get to experience those places.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean. Like we drove to New York to interview Chris from Less Than Jake, and it was literally driving there, recording the interview, going to a Panera, mixing the podcast, putting it out immediately, driving back to Rhode Island so I could play the show the next day. But like a lot of travel for performance, it like sure, once in a while you can be like, we're gonna go do this thing at this time because we're in this place and it lines up.
If you make a real point to do it.
Yes, but if you just do it all the time and you're like, okay, well, all these, like if we play, my band plays up and down the East Coast all the time, it's like a lot of times it's like you get there in time to be there early enough to do your thing.
Yeah.
You're spending the least amount of money you can to make it to the next place or whatever you're doing. And
especially
so
if you're flying too. You know what I mean? Like there's many places where I can be like, well, I can tell you what the area around the airport is like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And but no, like I try and take moments and just be like, wow, here I am. You know what I mean? And like one of the big ones for me, there were a bunch in England that I really appreciated because it was like half stand up, half fun trip. Yeah. And then Mexico, I was there long enough to really enjoy the time that I was there.
Yes.
I was doing shows, but it was part of a festival. They had me down there.
Right.
I'm just like, the only cost I have is like whatever I want to do with the day.
Yes.
And I'm with other comedians. It was a fun time. It was a good experience.
Right.
And so I was able to really take it in once in a while. But I remember a moment where I was standing next to Mayan ruins after having just done a set in a palapa on the beach in Playa del Carmen. And I just had a moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where I was like, oh, thoughts from my head brought me here.
Yeah, sure.
And that's a good moment. That's something I struggle with holding on to those positive moments because it's too easy to get sucked into the rest.
Yes.
I'm getting off on a tangent and I apologize. Travel is very important. I think there are a lot of Americans that do travel. To answer the question here, Alex's question.
Yep.
I think there are a lot of Americans that travel. I just think there are a lot of Americans that don't, but it's the same everywhere.
Right.
There's more of us.
Yeah.
Is part of it. And I think the country where we are geographically is a big part of that.
Right.
This is what I was going to say is it's different because if you look at England or you look at France and you think of...
I see Chuck's underpants.
Well, if you think about this...
Disgusting.
I'm willing to fly somewhere that is 6 hours away.
I said this at the very beginning.
Yeah, it's just like the difference between Rhode Island, where we live, and California and Texas and all these different places within the United States. It's so vast that it's a little bit different.
Every time I have to go out to LA, I'm like, that's 8 hours.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a 7-8 hour flight.
I mean, culture wise, the difference between France and wherever. You know what I mean? Like it's a different thing because the United States is so large.
Well, if you talk to my racist uncle,
that's what I mean.
I don't have an actual uncle, and I don't have a racist uncle, but I think just for the sake of what that character is, right?
People get it.
That racist uncle will tell you that the culture is very different in those blue state cities.
Yes.
It is.
But for me, my personal travel thing,
I'm an uncle.
Growing up, my family always went to like New Hampshire, and keeping that as kind of a thing, I've always really enjoyed going up to Vermont, New Hampshire, those areas. I really like that. I've been to Florida a million times. My grandparents lived there for a long time, so I'd go there. I went to Mexico when I was in 8th grade, so I didn't really control the trip.
And that's when you were muling?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Other kids had paper routes?
Yes.
I had a paper route when I was in 8th grade, but you went muling.
Yes, right. But I went to California and Mexico with my buddy's family. And
El Chapo, right?
Yes, that's right. Obviously, like I've been to New York a million times, and now I have a place in New York.
Yeah.
And then with Senior Discount, we played shows, like I said, all over the East Coast. And then there are just like random trips here and there. Like Brad said, we went to Austin. Did I go to Austin twice?
Yeah, you drove with.
Oh
Lou.
yeah, I drove. I drove from Rhode Island to Austin with my buddy Lou.
Yeah,
and so we had that experience, and that was fun. Brad and I had a lot of fun in Austin for Lou's wedding. Me and Brad and I went to Ohio to film that pilot for that show that we can't talk about yet. So I've been to a lot of places around the country. Again, a lot of it was performance-based or work-based or whatever.
It's tough because that is so different. Like,
it is.
When I go on a trip with...
We didn't get to experience Ohio whatsoever, and we were there for like 4 days.
Yeah. No, there's so many places that I'm in a mindset where I just go and I do the thing.
Yeah.
And it is very different traveling for fun to see a thing.
Yeah.
When my wife and I will go somewhere with like Finn,
Yeah.
my son.
Yeah.
We'll go on a trip to do a thing, whatever it is, even if it's like staying at an Airbnb in like New York State to go to Legoland. We did that once with Finn.
Right. Sure.
Their process of like packing and getting ready and stuff is, I think, what the normal person does.
Right.
But I have so much of it just on autopilot.
Me
for
too.
myself.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. I have a go bag in New York, and I have one go bag. That's just like
And
everything.
that's just if they ever find the bodies in the backyard.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, a lot of people call it a colostomy bag.
Yeah. You call it,
But I go.
go bag. Yeah.
But I'm like, I should make another go bag in Rhode Island so I never have to bring it back and forth. Because I'm so used to just being like, oh, I'm gonna go over somewhere overnight for like let's say less than 4 nights.
Yeah.
I'm good to go with this. Yeah, and it's funny. I will say, I do think that like last weekend, I drove down to Philadelphia. I went to a Halloween party, stayed over at this house, and then all day we just hung out in Philadelphia and went around like a downtown area, and it was kind of like a main street, like an old school. Went to a bunch a coffee shop, great brunch. I like that, and I still consider that really being in a different place and trying to experience different things, and I really do like that. I would love, like Brad was mentioning, like going to Toronto or doing something like that. I would love to do that. I suggested the other day, I will say, let's throw Brad under the bus here.
Please do.
I'm like, Brad, he's going to have some time in January.
Maybe.
Let's go to Texas and visit our buddies Lou and Laura. Let's go to Austin and spend some time there. And Brad was like, fuck you.
Not what I said. I just didn't say anything.
No, you said no with like a ton of, or you said like overruled, or you said something that was like, I don't want to go. Or like maybe you put a sad face on it.
I definitely put a sad face on it.
That's what it was. So what does that mean? If someone says, let's go to Austin and you respond with a sad face.
That's a joke.
No, it's not. And I'm trying to get Brad to go to Las Vegas with me next year to go to this big festival.
When I think of Vegas,
Well,
I think of Brad Rohr.
Well, here's the
I went to
thing.
Vegas.
Going, it's too loud.
I went to Vegas in 2003. It was too loud.
Yeah. You went for the expo, right?
Well, the thing
The
is,
AVN expo
there's this festival coming up next year.
for your ET.
Ready for this? Headlined, 2 headliners, Blink-182 and Green Day, which are 2 of our favorite bands. Tons of bands on the show that we love, like Less Than Jake and stuff like that, MXPX. And I texted Brad and I'm like, I've never gone to like a music festival. Like Senior Discounts played Warped Tour, and I've been to Warped Tour a bunch. But that's like a traveling festival. I've never been to like Lollapalooza or something like that. I was like, let's just go. All these bands, we love these bands. And Brad was like, you know what? Like, I've never been to a festival like that either. And I said to Brad, here's the ticket link. When you want to sign up, let me know and I'll buy a ticket too. And he never responded.
I tried to buy a ticket.
Wait, did they put you in the wait list?
Yeah.
Oh, you put your credit card information in?
Yeah.
As I said, tell me when you do it.
I thought you were already doing it.
I didn't do it yet.
All right.
Didn't Chuck send you a .rus?
Yeah.
What is it? RUS? Rush?
It's a Russian like.
Yeah,
it's
I know, I
bad thing.
figured. But so like I would, if people wanted to go somewhere, like me and my ex-girlfriend, she would be like, let's go here and let's go to this state and go to this thing. I'm happy to do it anytime. But what's tough is like, even this year, I tried to get a few of us to go to Florida. But no one was. It's tough. It's like you're trying to get people's schedules together.
Well, I mean, I can tell you,
money.
like, my wife and I used to travel.
Yeah, you're just kid.
We had a lot of fun doing it, and then we had Finn.
Right.
And it's so funny. Like there was, I can't remember what year it was, but Finn must have been like 5 or 6.
Yes.
And we were having a conversation, and we sort of stumbled into being like, yeah, we haven't taken a trip in so long. We really haven't traveled.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it, and then we started to try and trace back, like, why did we stop? When was the last thing? And it was so funny because it was like
turn and look at Finn.
Yeah, it was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. It was 2014
Yep.
when Finn was born, right?
Yep.
And so that's why we're looking at Ireland. I'll say this to kind of wrap this part of it up because this is only the second fucking
Sure is.
email.
Sure
and
is.
I got 4 things during this podcast I want to read right when this is done, but they're
Jesus
not
Christ.
questions. They're not questions.
Oh, okay. But I will ask you guys this: where would you like to go? What is on the map that you're like, I've always wanted to do that, I haven't had a chance yet? Because for me, it is Ireland. Like I am one of those cliche Americans where I'm like, I'm mostly Irish and I want to go to Ireland. I'm very aware of it.
Yes.
And I try not to be that person because when I am traveling out of the U.S.,
Yeah.
I try my fucking hardest not to be
Yes.
that American tourist, which is hard because I'm 6'7" and morbidly obese. I
Yes.
scream American tourist.
He actually, like, physically, he screams
Yeah,
American
I
tourist.
do. Yeah.
American tourist here.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I gotta shit somewhere.
Get out of my way. I can't handle your fancy foods.
My bowels can't take it.
What is this, brown butter? Good Lord.
American tourist here.
I'm used to 3 types of cheese. Yeah. But no, it was, I really
that's
want to
so
do
funny.
Ireland. London, I adore London. I really like being there.
Yes.
And I do want to see the rest of England. The hard
Sure.
part is, like, when you're in London, you could just be there. Like, here's the flat. We're staying here. We can go out and do whatever we want.
Right.
And this is a lot of fun. The next step, like when we go to Ireland, is going to be we're renting a car, we're
Yes.
going around, because I do want to go to
Yes.
where my
Heritage.
family is from.
Sure.
Which is the East Barra Peninsula, which is like the southern coast.
The Funbearable
Kookaburra.
Peninsula.
Yeah, the Funbearable Peninsula. It's like it's near Cork.
I went with Kookaburra.
I noticed.
It's in Cork County, but then there's a big part of my family on my mother's side,
Yes.
which is the Northern Ireland,
Right.
And that's I want to go up there. I want to go all over Ireland. I
Right.
want to do it, and that's a fun step to drive. Is going to be crazy because I also know, like, renting a car. I will be fucking amazed.
Yeah.
If I rent a car in Ireland, that I am
fits you.
comfortable driving.
Yeah.
I will be flabbergasted.
Ooh.
My
It's-
gast will flabber.
Wow.
It's
okay.
it's so funny because, like, I think people think of me as, like, fairly, like, silly, like a silly guy.
Yeah.
But the truth is, one of my issues is that I think I'm a little bit too work oriented. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Can I be honest with you? I think if I were to classify you in that way, the kind of silly,
Yes.
I would say like a TV chimp, where it's fun,
But
right,
scary.
and silly, and like sometimes you're like, oh man, they're leaning too hard on that fucking chimp with this episode, right? Like stuff like that. But then also acutely aware, like at some point when it hits puberty. It's gonna eat your fucking face.
I think I get stuck in that mode. I'm ready to eat and I'm pubic, baby.
I'm pubic, baby. Nope. No, that's
I
not
think
the
we're done.
word. That is not pubic. Is not.
I think we've hit the limit of where we can go with this podcast.
Yeah, pubescent.
Thank you all for listening to Funbearable. We're done.
I'm a pubic chimp.
What about you, Brad? Where do you want to go?
I didn't finish what I was saying.
Oh, sorry.
Really, 'cause it felt fine.
Oh, you know what?
I went
It's
to
my
say a thing
mistake.
and
We were
Ray-
talking about geographic locations, and you wanted to talk about yourself, and I'm so sorry about that.
I went to go say people think of me as silly,
Yeah.
but I'm too work oriented, so I
Yeah.
always think about what I'm gonna do next for work and
Yeah.
not for leisure, which is travel.
Gotcha, okay.
And you interrupted with a whole thing about how I'm a chimp, and then you're like, "Oh, this guy's talking about himself."
That's fair.
Fucking insane.
All right, we'll kiss and make up, okay?
So a lot of people think of me as silly, but I'm so work oriented that I'm always just like, oh, I'll do this in October and I'll do this in December, and it's always work stuff. And like, yes, so let's say, I go film with like Normand and Joe List and Mark Norman and everything. If they're going somewhere, I'm like, oh, like you're going to Austin. My friends are in Austin. I'll go with you, or you're going here.
Yeah.
So I'm always open to that, but I never ever put like travel for leisure
Same, dude.
as a
Fucking
priority in my
100%.
life. But so to think about it, I really have never thought about it before right now.
Oh,
I would like to spend some time in I know this is weird, in like Texas, because it's just such a different culture. I would like to go to LA. I'd like to go to Toronto. I'd like to go to like
they're gonna tell you to say Toronto.
I would like to go to Utah because I think that'd be really interesting and different. I would just like to experience something that's very, very different. And then I think it's probably like basic bitch stuff. Like I would like to go to Paris. I would like to go to Milan. I would like to, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff.
Milan?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know. Is that weird?
No, that's just it's a strange pull. Like when I hear Paris and Milan, I think fashion show.
Yeah, that's Chuck.
Well, I think about the idea of culinary culture, and I think about the idea of what I could experience in culinary culture that wouldn't like scare me, because like I am scared of like blood pudding and like, that kind of stuff turns me off a little bit, or
Okay.
like cow tongue. But like I would like to go to different places and try different like culinary culinary stuff and like coffee culture and different types of things that you can imbibe like that are kind of a part of the reason I want to go to different places.
Yeah.
It's like literally the food of different cultures is what draws me there, as well as the geography.
It's interesting that we're talking about very like westernized places.
Well.
There we go. Yeah, because I was just thinking about this. I'm like, you know,
Like
we're not
China?
talking about
Yeah.
we're not talking about going to like
I would love to
you
go
know
to
Malaysia.
I would
or,
love
you
to
know.
go to Japan.
I would. It's weird because I do have the Western, like I'd love New Zealand, Australia,
Right.
but also Japan, Korea, like some sort of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Asian island culture.
What about South Africa?
South Africa would be great. Kenya would be great. Egypt would be great. And it also like part of it is what have I read most recently, and if I've read something that is like, oh, all right, well, this is a fantasy world that's basically Russia. I'm like, oh, I should go to St. Petersburg. I read A Gentleman in Moscow earlier this year, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Russia.
oh, I bet that's beautiful, and also evil. And like, oh, Scandinavia. Oh my gosh, wouldn't it be great to see Norway? Like any of them.
Yeah.
I'd love to go.
Norway would be awesome.
And a lot of it,
Yeah.
kind of depends on whom I'm with and what we're there for. If Funbearable hits the road and does a world tour,
Wow.
we'll do all of them.
And you know what, Alex, if you're still listening, I'm sure you're like, man, I asked the question
Yeah,
and I don't
yeah,
want to
I'm
hear
done,
it anymore.
yeah.
But Alex,
I would
if
like to
you're
go to
listening-
Australia. That's the last thing I'll say.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Oh man,
Crikey.
You know what I've always regretted? It was right around when Finn was born. I was offered. I was asked to go to China to do like a little mini tour.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was right after I had like come back from Akumal, Mexico, doing the festival there.
Right,
and they were like, "Hey, here's the tour, here's the run," and they explained it to me, and it was basically like you are going to get the entire, like you're going to run the gambit of all of the experiences that you think of.
Right.
You're going to be in a
Great
small
Wall.
village.
Wow.
You're going to be in a large city. You're going to do all of these different
You're going
things.
to stand in Tiananmen Square.
Yeah, until a tank comes by.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I run over the tank.
Wow.
Yeah.
American
Yeah.
We went right back to it.
Yeah. I don't want to eat things with faces anymore. Why is everything in a bucket and alive?
What's with rice?
It's not important, but Mexico is way higher on my list than I said. But go ahead, keep going.
Sure. Yeah, and so I was I turned it down.
Right.
At that time,
Yes.
because the choice was I could either do that or I could finish shooting Be a Man, because we had like the
Wow,
last
yeah.
little bit to do.
Yeah, that's tough.
And I made the choice, and I always regretted that. But yeah, it is a tough thing. So I would say this, Alex, if you want, all you need to do is get like I would say 500 firm confirmations of Irish people around you.
Yes.
Or maybe they're not Irish, maybe they live in Ireland.
Right.
But you need to get 500 confirmed we're going to buy tickets.
Yes.
Yes.
In a specific like town
Right,
or
right.
city, be it Dublin or Cork, whatever.
Right.
Or the other ones.
Yes.
Kilkenny?
Kilkenny, yep.
That's one of them.
Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah.
That's another town.
Saoirse.
Leprechaun City. And then and Irish Guns N' Roses famously did Take Me Down to Leprechaun City.
Yeah.
Where the grass is green and the leprechauns are pretty.
That could have gone in our Funbearable, like the script with all the
Oh, yeah.
Halloween novelty songs.
Yeah.
That would be killer.
Take Me Down to Leprechaun City.
That's funny.
It is funny.
You might be a ghoul.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, it was you two who did it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. But no, and we'll come. We'll come if
right.
you
Yeah.
just get
got it
500
out.
confirmations.
Yeah.
It's who was doing this? Paul F. Tompkins forever ago was doing this really great tour idea. Whenever people were like, "Come to my town, come to my town," he was like, "Start this Facebook group." This is when you couldn't add people; people
Right.
had to follow it.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you get 300 people in this Facebook group,
Yeah.
I will come to your town.
Right.
And it was such a smart idea.
Yeah, that's good.
And it all fell apart as soon as they were like, you can add members, because that was a great metric of like, there's
how
at
much
least
actual
300
interest.
people that will very likely buy tickets to this.
Right.
And they're all right here to tell them, here's where it is, here's
Yes,
when it
for
is,
sure.
and buy tickets.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. So we'll take that tact.
Absolutely.
So start a Discord channel, Alex.
There you go.
So I just got a couple things in.
Yes, please.
I got an email from Chartable, and it says, "Hey, you just got 3 new reviews."
Oh.
This is real. This is not me doing a bit. A genuine, creative, hilarious, and addictive listen. If you're looking for a new show that's something, if you're looking for a show that's something new and yet checks all the boxes of what you want in a podcast, these guys deliver.
Thank
From
you.
creative movie scripts to relatable, comfortable, serious discussion, to friends arguing over random things and all in between. Fun.
We've done all of that in this.
in the past hour.
Yeah. Is this
Fun-
person listening right now?
Funbearable.
Chuck writing it.
Funbearable leaves you wanting more. The chemistry between them is infectious and creates an atmosphere of listening in on friends bantering. Their creative lives, talents, and work all come into the show, capturing your attention. Plenty of shake your head, grinning along, and what did he just say moments. Genuinely funny, likable guys making genuinely funny and creative content. Keep it coming.
Oh, that's really nice.
Wow.
Thank you.
Really nice.
Mike C. Really nice, Mike C.
Thank you, Mike C.
Then we just got one. Saw Ray Harrington. So the comment name is super good. Saw Ray Harrington on Peaks Island in Maine. Led me to this show. Super funny.
Hey, look
Yeah,
at that.
wow.
See, and listen, I want to let you guys know
Yeah.
whenever the host is asking, like, what do you
Yeah.
want me to say? I always say now, say new podcast, Funbearable, and Conan.
Yeah.
And they do it, and usually they do it in the other order. I'm like,
Right.
don't do that. You're gonna do it the other way.
yeah.
Right, but I do. I'm telling people.
Yeah, we did it yesterday at Rhode Island Comic Con. Everywhere we did, we
listen,
said we'd add
my scooted boots are on the ground.
Scooch.
All right, I got boots on the ground.
Scooched boots.
Scooched boots,
And
baby.
The final one was subject line comedy. It says, podcast is a given. Trio of friends being funny. Laughter is had. I am not a spy. From Deadpool 1979, which
like
is a reference to like something we said on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounded almost like a haiku.
Yes. And final thing, I just got a message request from Adam Ullery in Virginia. Just found the pod. I'm a diehard Tell 'em Steve Dave fan, and that's what made me give you guys a listen. Are you guys going to follow up on Halloween Ends? Would love to hear you talk about the new one. Keep up the great work. So very nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
All during this podcast, I got all those messages. That's
Yeah.
very sweet. I appreciate it.
That's awesome. I love it.
So let's keep going with our emails.
Yeah, the mailman has something
What
from
day is it, by the
September
way?
2nd.
Oh, we're just on the second day of the
Yeah, this is
email?
the third email
30. What day is it?
today.
November
Yeah.
7th.
November 7th. Oh man, this is gonna be tough.
Well, so here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I've rerouted my idea.
Okay.
Here's what we'll do.
Rerouting.
At an hour 45, we'll call it.
Okay.
And we'll start again, and we'll do Mail Sack Part 2, and
Sure.
that's what we'll do today.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it's an hour 12 right now.
Well, I had a list of fun things I wanted to talk about. That
I know,
was
me too,
enjoying, yeah.
I know. We'll figure it out.
You want to talk about fun? Let's talk about our friend Zane.
I guess we left them wanting more then.
Yes.
If we're not talking about those other things.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. Zane, hit me.
Hello,
Is it Billy?
Chuck, Brad, and Ray. I hope you are all doing well. I know this email might not be read for a while, but I just wanted to say, as a longtime listener
He knows
of the
us.
Chuck and Brad podcast and Ray Harrington Must Content, I am really loving this merger. I was not worried at all when you decided to end your collective podcast and start doing one together. I knew it would be absolute gold, and so far everything has been. The main reason I'm sending this email is because while listening to Chuck and Brad podcast, I sent quite a few emails with questions, but I never had one be read while Ray Harrington was on. Ray, I've become a big fan of you ever since the first time I heard you when you appeared on the Chuck and Brad podcast. I remember going back and listening to every episode that you were on. My
that's lovely.
favorite is still the episode where you discussed Jurassic World.
Me too.
Ah,
I also love both of your stand-up albums and Undependent.
Oh my goodness! Wow,
jeez.
thank you very much.
On the very last
and I don't even like both of those albums.
On the very last episode of the Chuck and Brad podcast, I asked Chuck and Brad if they had read the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin comic. Chuck and Brad, I hope you have both finished it at this point. Brad has. The reason I bring that up is because I have a question for you, Ray. I know on past episodes of both your Chuck and Brad and Must Content, you've mentioned being a big comic book fan and using comics to help get to sleep. I am also a big fan, and I do the same thing as well on occasion. So I was wondering, what are some of your favorite comic books, and do you remember the comics that initially got you into reading them? I recommend a recent 6-issue miniseries from Marvel called Dark Ages by Tom Taylor. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Sorry if it was too long. I just wanted to say again, I'm really enjoying the podcast and looking forward to everything in the future. I wish nothing but the best for you three.
Thank you, Zane.
Thank you,
Zane rules. Zane
Sincerely.
is one of
he's-
those people that shares the podcast.
Oh.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Zane should fight Sabrina for top Funbear.
Wow. Yeah, that'd
Right?
be great.
And we'll film it
and you
and
know
we'll
what?
put it out on a Patreon. We'll start a Patreon just to do
They're
that.
both international
and
fun
they
bears.
start fighting.
Yeah.
Where's Zane from?
I thought he's Canadian, isn't he?
So Zane and they start fighting, and then they get closer and closer, and then they kiss, and then they make love.
dressed
And
as
then-
ETs.
And then Brad and Ray join in, and I'm just
What?
watching because
No.
this is gross.
Why did you put us in there?
And I stayed out.
Oh man, that's horrifying. To answer the question though, with Zane about the comic books.
It's so fun when Chuck is just laughing at his own
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
And we're just
writhing
ignoring him.
the
Just
little boy writhing
absolutely
in his
ignoring him.
recliner. Yeah, just laughing at his own stuff. We don't
By
have
the
to
way,
be
someone needs to change me at some point.
here. Many have tried, Chuck. Many have tried to
Ethically
change
speaking,
you. You look like you're on. You look like a madman on a slide. That's what you look like. You're laying down at this point. You're not even sitting in the chair. You're laying.
I'm so comfy.
All right.
comic books, Ray.
Comic books.
What a nice day, me and my buds.
But we do have to get you back soon. So, comic books. Yes, I love comic books. I read comic books almost exclusively going to bed. I do most of my reading when I go to bed.
Right.
It's hard for me to like carve out time like during the day. Like I'm going to sit down and read this book. Occasionally it happens, and I'm grateful for it. And then on flights, I'll read as well sometimes. Right. But yeah, at night, and occasionally I break it up with books that are coming out. It used to be exclusively just books that I read at night, and comic books have helped me because I had a real problem. I would read, and I would just get absorbed, and I'd be like, "No, I'm going to keep reading," and it would be like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Comic books, I think, are a good way for me. Even if I'm like, "Fuck it, I'm going to keep reading," it ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Okay, hey, don't start another one." So I read them on my iPad. But as far as comics that I really, really love, the go-to standout for me is a comic writer named Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah.
And I adore Brian K. Vaughan. Saga is the big one that's ongoing now.
Right.
They took like a 2-year hiatus, I think. And it's wonderful.
I feel like he also did Why the Last Man. But
He
I'm not-
did do Why the Last Man, and that is my favorite comic book series.
Yeah.
I love Why the Last Man, and that's also the book. This isn't answering the question of what got you into comic books.
Right.
I started when I was younger, and I read a lot of DC when I was younger. I wasn't a Marvel kid. I think I just wasn't really introduced to it. I was most interested in Batman and Superman, probably from the animated series stuff.
Makes sense.
I was a big Batman reader. For Marvel, I did read a lot of Daredevil, but that's essentially because he's Marvel's Batman.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, they both hate themselves. Is that why?
No.
I got to stop for a second to think. But I read a lot of that stuff, and I kind of like fell away from comics for a while, and I came back to it with Why the Last Man. It was already done.
Yeah.
And I picked it up, and I was like, I've heard a lot about this. It seems interesting, and I started reading Why the Last Man, and I think the day I started reading that, it became the day where I started reading comic books every night to go to bed. And
interesting.
that comic opened my eyes like, oh, there's way more to comic books than just the superhero stories.
Yeah.
And I still read some of the superhero stuff. I still read some of the main stuff. But there's a lot of great storytelling that's happening in comics that just isn't anywhere else. So Brian K. Vaughan, #1 with a bullet. I have a signed first edition, first pressing of Why the Last Man,
Okay.
of Saga,
Yep.
of Paper Girls, which is another one he did,
Yes.
and Ex Machina, which is not like the movie that
No.
came out. It's a different comic. That's a fascinating comic too. Ex Machina by Brian K. Vaughan is the story of a guy who used to be a superhero and has put it away and realized I'm not actually really helping. And he runs for mayor of New York City.
Oh.
And it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's very good. I mean, it's Brian K. Vaughan.
Right.
Untouchable guy. I really like him. Chip Zdarsky does a lot of really great stuff. He's funny. He does, right now he's doing Daredevil. Oh my God, he's doing like multiple. That guy is prolific. He's doing so much writing now. Chip Zdarsky, I recommend him. He's also funny as a person.
Yeah.
He's got a great. He's very funny. Really like him a lot. I like Ed Brubaker a lot.
Yeah, Incognito.
Yeah,
Incognito
Brubaker
is
is a
killer.
guy where I'll go through a phase where I'm like, all Brubaker.
Yeah.
Give me all
Yeah,
Brubaker.
yeah,
right
right.
now I'm reading his series. Oh shit. I forgot the name of it. It's an ongoing thing. It's cool. He came out and said, like, I'm gonna start this as a series, and we're gonna put out like a trade paperback every 2 every year.
Wow.
So every 6 months. And I can't remember the name of it, and I feel like a piece of crap. But it's because the titles are always like this one specific thing, a blank and blank story.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But it's the most recent thing. It's out through, I believe, Image.
Right.
And it's really fun. I love his stuff. It's very pulpy. A lot of like hard-boiled detective kind of feelings.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of like Femme Fatale was great. I really like that. He does a lot of really, really fun stuff. I think there's only like 2 or 3 runs that I haven't read of Brubaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
His Daredevil run was great. There's a ton of comics I really deeply enjoy reading. It's hard to say like it's specifically this or specifically that.
Right.
I still read Batman. I'm still current on
Yeah.
Batman for the most part. I have a backlog now because I kind of dipped out. But for a while, there was a really great run. If you're a fan of Batman, I would recommend the Batman and Robin series that was out in like 2011 or 2012, somewhere around there. It was a fantastic series. Batman is believed to be dead, and so Bruce Wayne is out of the picture.
Yeah.
And Dick Grayson stops being Nightwing and takes his place as Batman.
Yeah.
Right.
And Robin is Bruce Wayne's son.
Yep.
And so they clash, they hate each other, and the whole thing has really great story structure to it. And throughout the run is contemplating this idea of chosen family and
Yeah.
contemplating the idea of the issues that each of them have with Bruce
Right.
for different reasons.
Right.
And one is a real child of him who wasn't around.
Right.
And the other is not his child, but was around.
Yeah.
And
Yes, right.
it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And it made me really, really like Damian and Dick Grayson a lot. And they kind of won me over through that comic series.
Nice.
So there's way, way more, but
Yeah.
that's it. One of my favorite things, real quick, I will say, the comics that delight me in terms of like the mainstream kind of superhero stuff. I have a real soft spot for comics that cover superhero elements when they're not being superheroes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Right.
Hawkeye series that people refer to as Hawk Guy
Yep.
was phenomenal.
Yep.
They pulled a lot of influence from that when they did the Hawkeye TV show.
Yes.
It's fantastic. There's an entire issue of that comic through from the perspective of the dog, Lucky, the one-eyed dog.
Yeah.
And like all of the word bubbles and stuff there's only 1 or 2 words he's kept picking up on at a time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Phenomenal.
That's
Love
great.
it. Oh my God, the Superior Foes of Spider-Man, I think was
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
It's one of those words like
Yeah.
the something foes of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That was great. Where it's just I think it's the Boomerang guy. I think it's Boomerang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to start the Sinister Six back up, and there's only 5 members.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But it's like he's on probation. He's dealing with his probation officer. He's trying to do this stuff. He's trying to be a villain, but nothing's working.
Yeah.
And it is funny, but it's covering some more of that stuff. I love comic runs that cover those aspects of things. Those
sure.
are delightful.
For sure.
I'm sorry I dominated so much comic
No,
book
it's all
question,
right.
but as you can tell, I care about it.
That was
so.
dedicated to you.
Yeah, and well, my response was dedicated to Zane.
There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Next email from September 13th from Jim. Subject, Budneck. Who's a character on Salute Your Shorts.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Hey,
And
guys.
this is from Jim Henson.
Love the pod. For some fucking reason, I also remember Budnick being a bully.
Oh, hey, well, I mean, when some random person emails you, you got to take it as truth.
I guess I need to rewatch and set the record straight. Keep up the great work, Jimmy the Hair Guy.
Ah, there we go. Jimmy the Hair Guy from the world of Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's tricky. I think to nail down the Budnick thing is hard.
We're going to have to do it someday. Someday
I know.
we'll have to figure it out.
You know what's hard about it, though, is like, we talked about this. I don't remember if we talked about it on mic or not, but I found out that the pilot, when they shot the pilot initially,
Yes, Donkey Lips was the bully.
Donkey Lips was the bully and Budnick was his sidekick.
Right.
And then Budnick had a huge growth spurt.
Yes.
And so they switched it around. And I think when they switched it around, they realized like, oh, he's not a bully.
Yeah.
He's this other. He's the mischief guy. He's the troublemaker. You know.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I think it shifts over time, and it's so specific. So it's a weird.
Yeah,
thing.
we're gonna have to figure it out someday.
It's fine.
We
It's
will.
fine.
We will.
All right, next email from Michael. This is a lengthy email, so just bear with us here. Brad, Ray, you don't know me, so I'll address this to Chuck, clearly the star of the podcast and the glue that holds it all together.
Chuck
Now
wrote
this is a really interesting email. I remember getting this.
Yeah,
When you sent it to yourself?
I would say don't read his last name.
I didn't.
But yeah,
Michael.
this is a ride. This is a real
Oh,
ride.
is it Michael Scott?
No.
I'm not going to read his last name.
All right, fine.
Richards.
Jordan. Michael Jordan Richards.
This is a weirdly heartwarming email.
Chuck, so
Okay.
far
All right,
so
I'll
good. Funbearable has served as a welcome respite from my typical routine, allowing me to come up for air and enjoy a good laugh amidst an endless stream of serial killer podcasts and days full of corporate drudgery. Shout out to Brad here as the one most likely to empathize on the drudgery. Brad, I'm writing this while on a 20-person Zoom call. I've already heard alignment, let's table that, and I don't want to derail, but at least a dozen times. A few thoughts.
This guy works for a train company.
Yes.
The alignment of the train might derail it.
Let's table that.
Let's table it. It's a train.
Timetable.
Timetable, yeah.
Yes.
A few thoughts. Number one, I empathize with Brad's spelling bee loss. I myself was knocked out of our 6th grade spelling bee, and I think much of the blame falls to the pronouncer who read the words in a heavy Rhode Island accent. The word was fossil, but she read it like faucet, so I guessed F-A-U-C-I-L like an absolute fool. I could have and should.
Fossil, like that.
And
Fossil.
Yeah,
Fossil.
I could have and should have asked for it to be used in a sentence, but alas, my innate introversion, the glare of the overhead lights, and the hushed, judging whispers of the crowd broke me in my rush to sit back down. My mind went to mush. Words weren't real anymore. I was floating outside myself. If it had registered in my mind that she meant fossil, there is no way I would have missed it. Spelling Bee was in 1996 and Jurassic Park had come out, 2-3 years prior? Dinosaurs were everywhere. To this day, I can't watch Friends reruns because every time it cuts to Ross's apartment or references his job in paleontology, I flash back to that sweltering day in Bristol. It's too much, Brad. I hope you make peace with your loss. I simply cannot.
Super funny, right?
That's beautiful.
That's wonderful. That reads like an email
poetry.
that came into the police department after an explosion at the school.
Yep. Number two, regarding who in the cinematic universe fucks. 1, Marty McFly absolutely fucks. Check the hip swivel when he corners on his hoverboard. Ferris Bueller also definitely fucks, and I venture that he and Sloane have clearly consummated as well. That was a discussion on a previous episode. 3, Staten's landscaping sponsorship. Congrats on 40+ years, if I heard correctly. That's great.
My dad owns a landscaping company called Staten's Landscaping, and they were sponsoring the Chuck and Brad podcast when we moved over to Funbearable.
That's great, though I can't help but think much of the success is due to the sale of its primary competitor, Mike's Landscaping, in the late 90s that allowed Staten to operate virtually uncontested. Shout out to both of our dads for showing us the definition of hard work and grit.
Well, this is a Mike Jr.
This is a Mike Jr.
I worked for my dad's landscaping business at 13, off the books. Take that, IRS. That's why I can't read his last name. Saved up all summer and blew all my money on a black cherry Paul Reed Smith Custom 22 with curly maple top, rosewood fretboard, and mother of pearl inlay. I learned a lot about hard work, but very little about financial responsibility, it seems. Number 4, on bullying. So this one got me thinking. For the record, I don't think Budnick was a bully. That said, I never thought of myself as a bully either. I never did anything to be deliberately mean-spirited as a kid, but I do remember 2 specific situations that make me cringe as an adult, both involving people you know. The first being that for some reason in high school, I used to randomly punch people in the shoulder. I don't know why or what I was thinking. I'm sure it hurt, and I certainly regret it now.
Well, to be fair, we do have. Sorry, it's a long one, so I just want to chime in with this. To be fair, growing up, we had so many different little games or rituals that required punching someone.
Yes.
For sure.
They were all about punching.
Yep.
I heard this the other day, and it came back like a fucking repressed memory. Do you guys know this? Because maybe you don't, because you both grew up in different places. Where I was growing up in Maine, we had a thing. Do you guys remember doorknob?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And safety?
Yeah. If you fart, you have to say safety. And if you don't, the other person says doorknob, and they can basically pummel you until you touch a doorknob.
Right. Yeah. We had these
That was
insane,
hitting.
and then there's punch buggy.
Yep.
There's so many
padiddle.
punches. Padiddle.
Yep.
There was the circle, like you make the circle with your fingers.
yeah,
I'm doing it right now.
You have to put it below your
both
waist.
look, so I am going to punch you at some point.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, my son came home
And did
like
it?
last week and showed that to me, and I'm like, well, dude.
Yeah. I
A,
know.
I didn't know you guys were still doing this shit.
Yeah.
B, don't fuck with me. All right.
And,
I grew
and
up with
C,
this shit. I was doing this in high school.
the meaning of that particular hand signal has changed.
Oh, it has very much changed.
Oh, get
yeah.
out. I am going to A-OK everybody until white supremacy goes away. Because you cannot take that from me.
I'm sure that'll do it. Hey, this guy seems like he's fine with things. So are you saying, wait, Chuck, are you saying if you happened upon a Klan rally out
Yes.
in a field where they're burning a cross, you would give them the okay
I would say,
symbol?
hey, guys, guess what? Black Lives Matter movement, A-OK. How about this? More good progressive stuff is great. So take that.
And that's when they just go, somebody's...
I think they're as
just
confused.
shoot him.
I think
Yeah.
they're as confused as everybody else.
What is who
are you
is this
talking
guy?
about?
Who's going to investigate his death?
Wait, did he-
The police?
Did he bring that
That's
huge?
me.
Did he bring that huge recliner with him?
Yeah.
kicking his feet?
But yeah, I do think there was like punching people was just like a fucking thing. There was like,
Yeah.
how many things can we come up with?
Yeah,
To just punch.
I have a very specific story growing up that I won't get into today.
The Hertz donut. And
When I
stuff
was in like
that.
7th grade and I had to like wear something, I had to like get fitted for like you know,
Straight jacket.
like no, like I was going to like a an event that required me to dress up.
Okay.
And my mom was like helping me do
Court.
stuff, and my arms were like severely bruised, like
Yeah,
wicked,
yeah.
wicked bad. And
Yeah.
she was like, "What is this? Like, why do you have this?" And a lot of the kids in my school would like they would just like punch each other in the arm.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be like a pussy, so I would punch them back. But it really just became more of a thing, and we all did it. We all punched each other in the arm like wicked hard all
Yeah.
the time, and it was like severe. Like it was really severe. I hated it, but they were doing it, and it was almost like, well, if you don't punch back, you're just the one being bullied.
You just signify that it's okay to hit you and never risk getting hit back.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I have to hit them back. And so I did all the time. And so maybe they even look at it as like, what do you mean? He was like equally doing it.
Yeah.
But I was only doing it because it was like, what else am I going to do?
Oh, 8th grade, it became like an entertaining thing for like a month. Like we were all equally entertained by the idea of a dead leg.
Yeah, right.
And
exactly.
we would just give each other Charlie horses and punch each other
I
in the
know.
leg and
Yeah.
just do all these. It was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. But you know what it is? It's puberty boys.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I think-
it's just puberty boys.
I think that this is a weird thing to think, but I think when you really take part in organized sports, you get rid of some of that weird physical energy of like doing stuff like that. Like if you take karate, if you play baseball or basketball, football, whatever, you probably have those same urges, but you don't have a need to express them in these weirder ways because you get them out in a way that is organized.
I agree with your statement. It's wild that you said karate first.
Well,
What
karate
is the first organized sport Chuck thinks about?
well, I took,
when you think of high school organized sports, karate,
Yep.
I took karate and I would be able to, you know, take down Brad, take down you, whatever
Yes.
I have to do.
I'm very weak.
But
you know what? And I'm more about building up than taking down. Thank you very much.
all right, well, why don't you shake my hand and then I flip you over my back?
Sucks to be your back.
Really more,
really does.
really more judo than karate. Yeah. Whatever.
All right, keep going.
Chuck does a different thing than judo. He changes one letter, and it doesn't sound good. And he that's what he practices.
Perfect. Here we go. Blah, 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 randomly punch people in the shoulder. I don't know why. Chuck, one of those people was your cousin. Next time you talk to him, next time you talk to him, please tell him I sincerely apologized. Better 20 years late than never, I guess. The second involves Brian. Wow.
Brian Lau, our good buddy who does a lot of film work with us. He's been on the Chuck and Brad podcast a million times. Good friend of ours.
He and I grew up a few houses down the street from each other, and we were pretty good friends. One day we were playing in his backyard. He was on a swing that had been wrapped around a pole a few times on a swing set. So picture a swing set high with short chains on either side. He slipped, his foot got stuck, and he couldn't get out by himself. Did I help? No. I kicked a soccer ball at him a few times and went home figuring he'd get himself down. He didn't. I think he was up there for a half hour or more until his family got home. God, what a terrible thing that was to do to a friend. Again, don't know why I did that, but I've always regretted it. Next time you see Brian, please tell him I'm sorry. Hope they're both doing well. Number 4 got a little more serious, but wanted to share that. Similarly, appreciate the willingness of you 3 to cut in very candid, honest moments in talking about therapy, feeling unworthy, personal struggles, etc. amidst all the humor and jokes. It humanizes you and allows the audience to connect on a more personal level. I, for one, appreciate it. In closing, keep up the good work, and I wish you all continued success in your creative endeavors. I must now return to my spreadsheets.
Pretty nice.
Wow.
That's really nice, right?
Yeah.
Really interesting email.
There's something to be said for self-realization.
For sure.
I definitely...
Reflection.
Yes.
Probably in 2007, I remember sending a MySpace message to a guy I had been unnecessarily mean to in high school. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know why I did it. You didn't deserve it. Like,
yeah.
And I'm glad to see that you're thriving. And he was like, it's all good now. And he's still the dude is still thriving, working in a much more exciting career than college student housing. So, best of luck to the guy
Chris
I was
Evans,
mean
right?
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was such a bully.
That'd be amazing. Brad bullied Captain America.
I bullied Chris Evans. This is terrible.
That's where, Cameron Diaz is like, yeah, people in high school called me Skeletor because I was so skinny. And I'm like, but you're Cameron Diaz. Like,
Yeah, sure. It's a weird thing. No, I think that's healthy to look back, and it's tough because when you look at like writing down, deposition style writing down what happened.
Yeah.
Like he fell and his leg was stuck in the swing set, so he was hanging upside down. So I kicked a soccer ball a couple times and left him there. It's cold and detached because so much time has gone by.
Right.
And I said it half kidding earlier, but meant it. The idea of it's puberty boys.
yeah.
Yes.
And I do think, boys and girls, you're going through this process, and I think you just oftentimes will just make a choice
Yes.
for whatever reason.
Oh,
and
yeah,
even if you go, why did you do that? Even then, you couldn't. Even while you're doing it, you couldn't be like, I don't know why.
I know. Of course, I agree.
I think it just happens. The question is ultimately what you do with that later when you can look back and you can make choices and reason them.
Yes.
And it sounds like Michael has done that, and that's very good.
Yeah.
Yes. I also think that there's a weird difference, and it's a gray area of when this happens. But I think you have a different level of agency, and you develop that between the ages of, let's say, 12 to 16 or whatever, somewhere in that time. So 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old you is just a very different thing to think about in terms of responsibility and consideration.
Responsibility and empathy.
Yes, exactly.
I think empathy and understanding. I think there's a
Yes.
period of time you go through when you're a kid.
Yeah, consideration is the biggest way to say it.
Where
I
it's
think.
if your friend falls and gets hurt, you're going to laugh
Exactly.
and not be like, hey, are you okay? Let me help.
I'm going to do both.
Yeah.
I'll do both.
It depends on how they fall.
Yeah, it depends on
Yeah,
how
that's
hard they
true.
fall or who pushed
Yeah.
them where.
And if it's a funny
All that
fall,
stuff.
if Brad's on a mechanical bull and he gets flipped off it, I mean, I'd have to.
Not a mechanical bull guy.
No one is gonna keep me from laughing at that. But
What if it's an organical bull?
But if Brad, if we were walking out of my house
just a
today,
bull.
organical bull, that's funny.
Yeah.
If Brad fell down the stairs today and hurt his knee, to me that's terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible. It's
Terrifying.
awful, terrible.
It's
both.
it's terrible, but you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I hope the camera was recording that.
There
Well,
are funny
depends.
ways to do it, and then
Right.
there are ways when I kicked your butt, Chuck.
Oh yeah.
At Best Video at the
Yes.
end of the Halloween episode, the Halloween franchise flashback.
Yes.
It was a soft. I scooched your boot. Is what
Yeah,
I did.
you really
I
did.
scooched your boot.
Yeah.
And I did it knowing that I thought the joke was going to be done just lifting my foot.
Yes.
But then you kept doing it. And I was like, but now, it's just there.
Chekhov's gun.
And I have, it was Chekhov's scooch boot. And I had to do it. And I did it. And then immediately was like, I'm very sorry about that. I'm really sorry. But was laughing at the idea of it. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yes.
There is a weird thing. But I think when you're younger, I remember my cousin before I moved to Maine, when I lived in Connecticut, this had to be like first grade, second grade, because I moved in second grade.
Yes.
So it was like kindergarten, first grade. I'm playing with her outside. Like we were best of buds, and we would play in the woods, and you'd have to go up like a little, steep incline to get back out onto the road.
Yeah.
And we were playing, and I went up the incline, this dirt little, hill, hillock. And then my cousin went up, and she slipped, and she fell, and she just slid down like a slide.
Yeah.
And in my kindergarten, first grade head, it was very funny, and I laughed.
Yeah.
And then my cousin looked up, and she had scraped her chin. She had a little bit of a scraped chin.
Yep.
And she was so mad. She had tears in her eyes, and she's like, "Why are you laughing?" Right? And that's when I realized, oh.
Yeah.
Oops.
I know,
You know what I
it's
mean?
tough.
And I think because you're just a kid, you have no idea.
Right.
The other thing too
Yeah.
is as an adult, now we've all probably fallen as adults and been like, that hurt so bad, even though it's it didn't have any lasting damage. Or
Yeah.
And when you're a kid, a lot of times you fall as an 8-year-old.
yeah.
You're like, who gives a shit?
You're a sack of fucking potatoes at that
It
point.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, nothing matters.
I think about how often I used to, we were at my cousin Christian's house recording our Halloween episode.
Yeah.
And I told Ray, I said, that staircase, me and Christian used to put pillows in the staircase and fall down the stairs trying to grab the pillows. And when you hit the bottom, however many pillows you had is how many points you had.
What
Yeah.
a fantastic game.
Right? Now think about doing that.
No.
It sounds like, okay, I can't do anything for a year
yeah, okay,
afterwards.
great. Physical therapy, cool.
I don't want to skip a step coming down.
I
because of
know.
Yeah.
the thing in my
we used
spine.
to beat the shit out of ourselves.
Yeah, we're decrepit.
Growing up, there was
Yeah.
so many things.
Yeah.
I look back at that, I'm like, why were you doing that?
Yep.
Well, I don't know about
Yeah.
that, but it's you don't. It's almost like you don't have a threshold for how much something can hurt someone.
Sure.
So if
Yeah.
someone actually does get hurt,
but
you're kind of
also
like, what? I don't know.
your body
Yeah, right. Exactly.
could just handle it.
Exactly.
I take back sack of potatoes. I think your body
It's more like a Gumby.
is like a
Stretch
sack
Armstrong.
of tennis balls because it just always bounces back and is totally fine. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
That's when you would have a huge bruise or road rash or
Yes, yes.
something on you, and you go, look at that, it fucking hurts like hell, because it was just in that spot and
Yeah.
would go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. So we're an hour and 42 in. So
All right.
we'll do one more email and then we'll
One more email, and then we'll really think about why we decided to do this.
All right, I'll say this.
I love it. I love hearing from
this,
people.
This email's nice and brief. It's from Chad. Love the new pod. Super funny. I tried a few times to get into Chuck and Brad's podcast, but so many episodes in, I just couldn't grasp on. I'm a longtime Tesdy fan and have been a fan of Chuck since he started doing their video work. Anyways, maybe listening to the new pod long enough will spur me to go back and listen to the Chuck and Brad pod from episode 1.
Wow.
Waffling to bed. Chad.
Wow, Chad.
Thank you for waffling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chad,
I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself about not getting into the Chuck and Brad podcast. But
Don't make it negative, Chuck. Don't make it negative.
Nah,
This
just
person
kidding.
is saying
I
they
love you,
enjoy
Chad.
what
I'm
we're
just
doing.
kidding. I love you. I understand sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the reasons we wanted to start over with Ray is the whole lowest common denominator thing.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. The whole thing is just if this guy did come in and he's like, okay, I'm going to start at episode 545.
Yeah.
It might feel a little bit like there's a
Yeah, it's
history that you're
daunting.
missing out on. All right, let's do another one.
You know
Another
what's-
one.
Oh, I
sorry.
was just gonna say really quick. You know what's tough about that too, is I think about that because you and I talked about this before we started this podcast about the idea of so many deep and going in and do we start back? Yes, I know that is funny.
No, I'm not laughing at that. I'm sorry. I texted my cousin Christian about
Yeah.
that email that we just got from that guy, Mike. And he said, that's weird. And I didn't even tell him what he said. I didn't tell him at all what he said. He goes,
Yeah.
kid was a dick and used to punch me in the arm. I I didn't even tell him what he said.
Oh, we had a really positive moment and talked about self-reflection and like owning past mistakes.
Well, Christian
And
hasn't
that's
listened to the episode, doesn't know the
he
apology.
hasn't. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So we'll have to do an update to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
absolutely.
Christian Michael
Yes.
debacle.
Debacle.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Keep
that's
going.
right. But I think here's where I struggle. Like this
Yeah.
idea of like you don't want too many. You know, starting fresh means that you can go back to the beginning and get caught up real quick. But we're also in 2022.
Yes.
In a place where it's like you must content all the time.
Right.
You know what I
Yes,
mean? Like
right.
that's why I called it must content.
Right.
But like you have to be putting stuff out.
I know.
And how many people I've heard be like 2 episodes a week. 2 episodes a week, you do this, you do that, then you have this extra thing, then you do this other thing.
I know.
And then people with like Patreon stuff, and it's like,
I know.
we do our regular 2, then we do the extra thing here, then we
Yeah.
always have this monthly extra thing.
I know.
And it's like, so don't have too many, but also have one every hour.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And
know.
it's really
I know.
tricky.
It's very, very tricky for sure.
Next email.
Yes.
Also from Chad, different Chad.
Different Chad. Chad
Different Chad.
B.
Chad B.
Well, Chad K.
This is from Brad's friend Chad Kafka. I only
Yeah.
know that because he said Chad K.
Yeah.
It's Brad was friend. You became friends with him in college.
That's correct.
Yes.
And then he became a cockroach?
No,
Because
you
it was
think
Chad
Franz Kafka.
Kafka-esque?
Yeah.
I get
Oh,
it.
Franz Kafka.
Yeah, different. Hey guys, longtime Chuck and Brad listener and longer time Brad listener chiming in. Loving the new show. Just finished the Funbearable episode, number 4.
one of my faves.
You guys riffing about the 3-man haunted house where people could hear you changing for the next setup.
Yes, I
Had
love
me
it.
literally laughing out loud, nicely executed. In the first few episodes, you have been struggling for a closing line for the show. Still are.
Yeah.
What about something like, and that's our show. We hope your time with us has been funbearable. That way you're saying you hope it has been fun and unbearable at the same time. Just a thought, take it or leave it, or riff on it. Keep up the great work. Chad. P.S. Have Brad tell his order for bumper rumper at Fuddruckers story. It's not an interesting story. No need to get into
Looks
it.
like that's what's closing the show today.
There's so many weird words in what you just said at the end there. I will say one of my absolute, it might be the top thing of this podcast because we did
The fog.
we did Funbearable
Day one.
in the first day of
Yeah.
episodes.
Day two.
Yeah.
Day two.
But we did back-to-back days and
Yes.
recorded the first 4 episodes.
Yes.
That was the moment I think where I was just like, yeah, this is what I want to
Yeah,
do.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And that whole thing was
Yeah.
so delightful.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just the
Yeah. That's the
too
best.
spooky, I think might be my favorite thing from the podcast.
Yeah.
If we were all like challenged to get tattoos of the podcast so far, which is insane because it's a brand new podcast.
Please don't challenge that.
Yeah, and we have a wonderfully loyal group of people listening to the podcast.
Yes, yes.
But like we're still growing.
Yeah, for sure.
So the idea of being like, let's get tattoos. I would absolutely, if I had to choose a thing, too spooky.
Yeah, no, it is funny. Too spooky.
If you had to get a tattoo and it wasn't the name Funbearable, but it's something with the podcast, what would you get?
I do the waffle.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you
the
should
waffle.
get it.
I
Yeah,
like-
the waffle.
yeah.
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 But it's going to be
You
in
know
like
what I would get?
2-point font.
You know what I would get? I would get. Well, there's 2 possibilities. One would be I Pity the Ghoul with Kenny's I Pity the Ghoul thing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's good.
That is
or
good.
Kenny. So our buddy Kenny Rubanus, great listener, great artist. He drew that for us.
Yeah.
And then he recently sent in his drawing of ET based on your description.
Yes.
And that was killer. So maybe the ET drawing.
You would get an ET tattooed on your
Of
body?
that, well, I mean,
Kenny's
if
ET.
it's
Yeah,
representing Funbearable,
Yeah.
and maybe instead of ET, it's the same font, but it says FB.
I like that. And then I would slip the tattoo artist a couple $100.
Oh yeah.
And just be like, while you're back there, because it'll be a tramp stamp for sure.
Right,
for you.
right.
While you're back there, change it to this, and it would be E.T. doing
E.T.'s glowing finger right aiming down.
right at his hole. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I was either that or
It does need to be
E.T.
healed.
doing a goatsy.
Oh.
Are you familiar with goatsy?
Yes.
You know what'd be
Yeah,
cool?
it would be
I work.
goats E.T.
You know what'd be cool?
Perfect.
If someone tattooed ET across my entire back, and it was him doing goatsy with my
with
anus.
your butthole. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I like it.
That'd be cool.
I don't know if cool is the right-
Greg, you get the camera. Brad, you get the gloves. Hold me open.
I'll get the paint.
It's going to be prison style, Chuck.
Hold me open.
Listen,
It's so
I've got
disgusting.
a sewing needle
Yeah.
and a Bic pen. We could do this.
That's
Wait.
right,
We're,
how much-
we're halfway through. Which one was E.T. and which one was Alf?
Yeah. Oh, shit. A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
guys, new idea. E-Talf.
Alf T.
So, Brad, what's your Oompa Loompa story?
What? Yeah. What? Can you say the phrase again?
Bumper Rumper at Fuddruckers.
Fuddruckers.
Yeah, Fuddruckers, of course, is a restaurant.
Fuddruckers.
I've
yeah.
never been
Shane.
to Fuddruckers, but I've always wanted to go there because it sounds sexy and weird.
It is not.
Sexy.
It is
It's just.
Fuddruck.
You know what it is? It's a fucking 99 restaurant, basically.
Yes,
That's not sexy.
No, it's not.
but it sounds.
Fud my ruck.
Rud fuckers.
You know, basically at Fuddruckers, you place your order and you give your name, and then they call your name. Order
Yeah.
for Ray. Order for Chuck.
Thank you.
And I had just
Order for Paul Rudd.
the week before, I had seen, I think, David Duchovny on one of the late night shows, and he talked about giving a fake name to a hotel when you check in so that your wake up call is something fun. It's not Mr. Duchovny. You make the person say, wake up call for Bumper Rumper. And you know, then you go about your day. And so that was in my mind. So I gave my name as Bumper Rumper at Fuddruckers, and they announced like order for Bumper Rumper, and they were very confused.
Yeah.
And no filter. And it was, you know, the day before Chuck and our friend, before Chad and our friend Megan went to LA for like a week for a class trip. And so like in the sand on the Pacific Ocean, they wrote Bumper Rumper wasn't here. And then
That's fun.
you know, took a picture, had it framed, and gave it to me. And it, you know, it was like a super fun trip, and it's so bizarre to me because it was like clearly stolen from a celebrity, and I did it, and it was just confusing to the people at Fuddruckers, and I didn't tell Chad or Megan or Megan's then boyfriend, now husband Marty, that I was doing it, and so they were like, "What did they say? Bumper Rumper?"
This is amazing because it's the lowest stakes I've ever heard
Absolutely.
of for a goof.
Yeah.
And it's only making me realize that we need to get you.
Yep.
And it sounds like Mr. Chad Kafka.
Fuddruckers?
They can
hamburger?
sponsor.
Yes.
We need to get you and a couple of gentlemen that match your aura.
Okay.
And it can just be nice jackass. And it's just like super low stakes pranks and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like excuse me, I'm sorry, but real quick, jackass. Right? Like that's what it's called. And it's just stuff like that.
Chuck had an idea years ago where it's like, "Hey, I'm Brad, and I'm going to use this coupon that expired 2 days ago."
Yeah, that's
Welcome
what
to
it is.
Jackass.
Yeah, that's what this is. I love it. Like you going like
Yeah.
the shot is like a bad hidden camera thing of
Yeah.
you in a Starbucks.
Yeah.
And we can't hear you, but you're talking to the person at the register, and then you come and stand over there and you wait, and then they're just like, Philip, and you walk up and you go and you take your name. That's not my name. That's not my name. And you run out.
In my version of it, it started out as him doing like light things like that.
Yeah.
And then it eventually became like, while Chuck's sleeping, I'm going to wash his dishes so that he doesn't get to do them.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah.
I switched his whole milk with 2%.
Well, it became like him doing nice things. You know what I mean? It became completely
But I
him doing
really
good
like
things.
this idea of like
Oh, yeah.
super tame pranks.
Yes. So
And
funny.
I think that's perfect for you.
Thank
I
you.
really do.
Yeah. Thank
you.
I think we can get Fuddruckers on board with this. There's nothing offensive.
Right.
I think we could
honestly,
get,
the most offensive thing is the name Fuddruckers.
Yeah.
yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah, right.
I think we can get like the Dove Network,
Yeah.
like one of like the Christian streamers
Yep.
Yeah.
to do this.
Yes.
If they haven't already.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God, this would be amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in too.
It's
You
you
guys
showing up at a
executive
place
produce?
like dressed like Santa.
Yep.
But it's July.
Oh,
Right?
giving out gifts.
Yes.
Oh, Santa's early this year. This is the Santa's early prank. Here we go.
All right, so let's close this one up, and we'll do another mail sack episode and see how many we go through. What time do you have to leave today?
6:30.
6:30. So we got an hour and 10.
Yeah, in Pawtucket at 7.
I'm sorry, one more. This is you doing prank pizza deliveries.
Okay.
Where you order pizzas to someone's house.
Oh, okay.
Right? The classic prank.
Yes.
But you have prepaid.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, it's just mean.
I did prepay, over tipped because of the confusion.
Because of the prank.
Yeah.
For the prank.
Yeah.
For the prank. I tipped him $30 for a $10 pizza for the prank. Got to do it for the prank.
He's going to be confused.
Yeah.
Look at his face. Look at his fucking face.
No, that's part of it. Is just leaving huge tips everywhere.
Even for stuff that you don't tip for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you pull up to a valet station, you give them the keys to the car, and then you go, "Hey, keep it." And then you look at the camera, like, look at his face.
No,
look at his
but
face.
whenever he looks at the camera, he goes down. That's what we always did.
Oh man, that's really fun.
Yeah,
I
that's
really
good.
like that idea.
Yeah, thank you all for writing in.
Thank you, Chad.
Yes.
I think we should close with his suggested line. You should close with it.
Well, we should thank everybody.
Yes. Oh,
sincerely.
dude, we love it. Funbearablepod@gmail.com.
And can I throw out a personal plea?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I? May I?
Yes, Mother Man.
I would like to throw out a personal plea.
Personal plea.
We really do appreciate getting these messages and these emails and things like that, and it is wonderful to hear from you.
Yeah.
We are at that stage I mentioned a little earlier, like that kind of like we're growing the podcast. And if you've written in, especially if you've listened to this bonus episode this far in,
Yeah.
you are someone who likes this show.
Yeah.
Do us a favor, like share the show.
Yeah,
you know what I
please
mean? Like
share,
post
we
about it,
appreciate it,
share
yeah.
it. Like we aren't. I'll be honest. Let's part that curtain. It's been so parted. Let's just take it down. I'm not famous.
Yes.
You're not famous. You're
Right.
not famous.
I'm on my way.
You're on your way to infamous.
Yes.
Yes.
And but we're not somebody that's like I've won 3 Oscars and now I'm going to start a podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
We really do rely on that idea of spreading things because I would say to you, listener, if you had a podcast where you're like, I'm going to start this thing and I want people to hear about it, like, how do you spread the word on a podcast?
Yeah.
It feels like everything you would do to promote it, people would just be like, oh, God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People don't even like hearing recommendations for podcasts, which
Yeah.
is crazy. And there's so many people that are like, you should listen to this. I'm like, uh-huh. You know?
Yeah,
You know what
I
I
know.
mean? And so it is a tricky thing, but that word of mouth and that getting people to see this, so like posting and sharing like the clips that we have.
That's the entire reason we do clips, because then it's not just someone going, hey, listen to this podcast, it's funny. And the more people see that in their feed,
Right.
the more likely they are to give it a chance and watch the clip, and the more likely they are to actually listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
So whenever you see the feeds in like an Instagram story or a post or Twitter or Facebook, just share it as much as possible. We would really appreciate that. It's really the only way the show is going to grow, which would be awesome. I'd love that.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff.
Well, for Chuck Staten and Ray Harrington, I am Brad Rohr, and that's our show. We hope your time with us has been Funbearable.
Oof. We owe Chad some money.
Yeah.
Just some.
Just a little bit.
Not much.
How about a Fuddruckers coupon?
It expired 2 days ago.